What's up? Ghost Fictions is here and we're back again. This is a story where Issei broke up with his harem and decided to leave. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 5. The Grim Reapers had secretly infiltrated the event and were trying to get a hand on Issei's parents, since with them, they can easily control Issei and by extension, the rest of the Arc family. The Black Harem suggested this idea, especially Nicholas, who knew how Issei, his former adoptive father, saw his parents, remembering about RageRevan and how he was able to get Issei to his knees seeing his parents and exposing him to them. The Grim Reapers were led by Thanatos, who was described to be identical to most Grim Reapers, except he had worn a skull mask and an exquisitely decorated cloak. They had positioned themselves, surrounding the event as Thanatos spoke, "We will be leading the assault at the forefront when the Hyoudous are unsupervised. I will distract Hyoudou Issei, the Emperor himself." The Grim Reapers nodded in agreement as one of them asked, "But we don't know how much security these Arcadians have placed for the Hyoudou couple." Thanatos shook his head and spoke, "Our job is to capture the Hyoudou couple as hostages and gain the data card that Nekashu has." The other cat, Kuroka, thanks to the efforts of Carmilla, managed to provide us with the needed information that was present for the creation of the Super Devils. We need that information if Carmilla needs to make our forces even stronger. Thanatos looked at his fellow Reapers and responded, "But truth be told, I am barely interested in this. I want to see how strong the so-called Emperor of Arcadia is." From what those Black Harem's leaders had informed us, they were outright scared of him in every manner, and according to that chick Carmilla, he was able to deal with any contingencies that she had placed for him, multiple times, forcing her to narrowly escape with her life whenever they had an encounter. Thanatos spoke with excitement as he looked at his fellow Reapers and added, "Now take your positions, I will fight Issei, the rest of you complete your missions." The Grim Reapers nodded, heading to their positions as they were ready for what comes next. Waiting room, 5:30 p.m. Issei and his team had settled down, along with the Hyoudou family and Arc sisters. Mickey was the first to speak. "I seriously did not know that you were a ranger. How long were you as a ranger?" Issei thought for a moment as he responded, "I haven't thought about it, but approximately 2 years. I eventually gave the rest of the ranger powers to the ones I trusted the most." Adam nodded in agreement, knowing how dangerous the ranger powers are and what can happen if they fall into the wrong hands, with Goro asking. "And only the Silver Ranger or Gakkai Silver remains, right?" Issei nodded, bringing out the Gakkai Cellular and Gakkai Silver Ranger key with him, as he responded, "Yes, the Silver Ranger is something I need to give a deep thought of. The 6th Ranger is stated to be one of the strongest rangers, but not many can handle the power that the Silver Ranger holds. It is often volatile and will immediately demorph the would-be ranger." The Hyoudou couple nodded in understanding as they took a look at the Gakkai Cellular, noticing that it looks like a mobile. They returned the cellular back to Issei, who had placed it inside the gamer dimension. "Speaking of which, you know Riaz and the others won't let this slide, right?" Saffron asked, to which Willow spoke, "Let them try. I will enjoy defeating them yet again, they were hardly a challenge in any way." Mary Ann responded next, with, "In speaking true, I took down their knight without much effort. Honestly, she barely practiced her strength and abilities. She was so overconfident in that sword she uses, what is it called?" Mary spoke in response. "Durandal. Yeah, that, she was unable to even land a hit on me. Issei told me the sword was powerful, but in the hands of a pathetic wielder like her, it does not do much." And spoke in response, as Willow added, "Yep, and I barely even spent time, just some lightning strikes. And they were on their knees." Willow spoke, as Mary asked, "Then why did you not choose to fight them in any manner?" Willow shook her head and spoke, "Why would I waste my time dealing with small fry?" Mary nodded in response and spoke, "Too true." Mary responded, as Issei then asked, "So, Mary, how was your first time as the Yellow Ranger?" Mary responded with a smile. "Yes, it was amazing. I never felt this level of power, I feel like I could even take on even the gods if needed. Yes, that is how strong the Rangers are." Juniper spoke in response, remembering her days when she was the Gakkai Yellow Ranger. After all, Juniper was the first Gakkai Yellow before she gave up her powers and instead chose her sister-in-law to wield them, seeing her as a better fit. She would become a ranger once she is done with her time as the Empress. "Anyways, we should get going. John's match will start up soon." Jade spoke with excitement as Rosemary responded, "Yeah, I don't want to miss their match." The others also nodded and decided to leave the waiting room to head to the stadium for the match. Scene change. Preparation room, Angel Heart Stadium, Vatican, 6:30 p.m. Scarlet was inside the changing room, this was her first official match in the DxD world. She knew, unlike the Four Kingdoms, this world was much stronger than anything she would expect. Here, their enemies are much more stronger than what they seem. She was about to leave when a voice was heard behind her. Seems like you are ready for your match. Sister Scarlet was surprised by this at first. Before clenching her fists in anger, she then spoke. What do you want, Milano? The identified Milano is described to be a young girl with red hair and blue eyes. She wears a military outfit. Me? I am here to make sure that you don't go for the match. I still don't understand what John sees in you. He should have chosen me as the bishop instead of. Scarlet cuts her off and speaks, but he did not, right? Scarlet spoke with a mocking tone as she continues. What I do is none of your business, and I believe I should get going. The match is going to start in a few minutes. Scarlet was ready to leave. She walks a few steps further, but Milano spoke with anger in her voice. Really now? You are not capable, nor will you be a worthy fit for his team. You should ask John to replace you with me. And Scarlet once again cuts her off and she speaks. I won't. Why don't you ask him? Oh, wait. He did not even consider you for a fit in his team. Really shows what kind of a bond we had. Besides, I thought I made it clear that I didn't want anything to do with the family, didn't I? The only one I see as a family is Holly, that's it. Scarlet walked away as Milano was clenching his fists to the point of bleeding it dry. She also had small amounts of tears in her eyes due to Scarlet mocking her at every step. She was done saying sorry and making things right to Milano, since despite what she did, she just wouldn't listen. In her anger, she was about to unleash an attack as Scarlet spoke. Don't. Scarlet spoke coldly as she continued. Remember what John said after your last stunt against me when you attacked me in front of him. One more slip up and you're out of the 1-5. Milano disables her attack. She could only watch as Scarlet leaves the room to get ready for her match. She scowls in anger before heading to the spectator area to watch the fight. Scene change. Arena Field, Angel Heart Stadium, Vatican, 6:45 p.m. Scarlet reached the group as she spoke. Sorry I came late. Lily then mocked her in response. Oh, I thought you weren't going to show up. Scarlet scowled in response and retorted, what's that supposed to mean, asshole? Himeko calmed Scarlet down, but before Lily could respond, the match opening music ceremony got their attention as Ajuka made an announcement. Good evening everyone, I am glad you all could make it to the second match of the day, with the spectacle that was the GREMORY team against Issei's own team from Arcadia, with two rangers showing their skills in an amazing manner. Ajuka made an announcement as he continued. Now, we get the second match for the day, Team 1-5, led by John Arc against Team Lightning led by Barakwil. Tiamat then added in response. Indeed, may I have a round of applause for its members? Tiamat announced in response. The children cheered for both teams, along with several others. Issei and his team had joined the stadium to watch the match. The rating game challenge will be object break. The rules of this rating game should be well briefed to you at this point. But for those newcomers, I will explain the rules. Tiamat announced as she continues to explain the rules in a video feed. The goal of this rating game is to break the objects. The video feed shows chibi versions of John and Lily breaking objects in the shape of a woman with fallen angel and devil wings scattered around the battlefield. However, a chibi version of Barakwil shows up and breaks two more objects, shocking the two chibis and having a smirk on his face. However, there are a total of 13 objects, and the first team to break 7 of these objects within the 12-hour time limit wins the match. The video feed shows chibi versions of both teams trying to destroy the objects as they look at the time. The scene changes to chibi Barakwil and chibi John clashing against each other. Oh, and just like in the normal rating game, victory can also be achieved by defeating the opposing team's king. Everyone nods in understanding as Ajuka then exclaimed. Let the rating game begin. The environment changes into that of something awfully familiar. The two groups looked around in surprise. In the audience, Issei and company were also surprised by this environment as Juniper spoke. Wait, that's. Issei looked at her and muttered. John is not going to like this. Not one bit. Mary, who was seated between her mother and brother, heard this. She wondered what this terrain was, such that her nephew was not a big fan of it. John and his team were surprised by this change of environment, with several getting annoyed as it brought back bad memories of their time in that location. The environment was similar to the one they fought in the Battle of Sarah. So, this is where we will fight that team. John muttered, to which Lily asked, what's the plan, John? We need to break some objects or defeat their king, Barakwil. So what do you plan on doing? John thought for a moment as he spoke. According to Tiamat, we have to locate certain objects that are in the shape of a fallen angel and devil woman. Lena, I want you to track these objects. Bring them to a safe space such that we can break them. Lena nodded in understanding as she used tracking magic to locate these objects. John then spoke, we will all split up and locate these objects. If you see Barakwil, immediately alert me and I will head to your location. The team nods in agreement. They all knew on what they should do next. Back with Issei, he sensed some Grim Reapers nearby as he looked at Juniper and spoke. Guess Hades and the Black Arms have sent some guests to our place. Juniper became horrified by this, she looked to see the worried expression on her parents. She then spoke. Don't worry, we will protect them, you, Mary, Adam, go and stop them. Juniper spoke with an assured tone, as the children minus John nodded. They would protect their grandparents at all costs. Issei then spoke. Very well, we will head out. Take care Issei, Mary. The Hyoudou siblings nodded and gave a smile to Mickey, who seemed to have a worried look. Issei looked at Adam who nodded as they all left. Goro wanted to speak, but Juniper spoke with an assured tone. Don't worry, mother, father. Issei and Mary will be fine, the Gokagers aren't beings that Hades wants to mess with. Scene change. Issei, Mary and Adam reached a location in the forest. They managed to teleport any Grim Reapers away from the audience, much to their surprise. Soon, they were surrounded by several of the Grim Reapers led by Thanatos, as Issei spoke. So, you're the one that Hades sent, huh? Maybe, but my goal is to fight against the biggest threat. That is you, Issei Hyoudou, or should I say, Captain Marvelous. Issei only snickered and spoke. I am fine with that, but if you die, that is going to be on you. Thanatos raised his scythe in response and spoke. I will take full responsibility as long as I get a good fight, I could care less on fulfilling Hades' will. Let's end this marvelous Sama. Mary and Adam walked forward as Mary spoke. And I will make sure you regret harming my parents. Issei nodded in agreement. Issei suddenly got a emergency quest. Defeat the Grim Reapers before they can complete their mission. Rewards. 10,000, lean plus new Gakai change. Shinkenger. Failure. Your parents will be in danger, Arcadia will also be in further danger. Issei nodded on what he must do, as the trio brought out their keys and mobilated, as they shouted. Gakai change. The three mobilates exclaimed soon enough. Gokager. Issei and Mary transformed into Gakai Red and Gakai Yellow respectively, as Adam's transformation sequence happened, with him transforming into a variant similar to Gakai Red and Gakai Yellow. Gakai Green. Thanatos and the others were surprised by another ranger, as one of them asked. But there are only supposed to be 2 rangers. Carmilla told us that only Issei is here, and the others are supposed to be in Arcadia. Thanatos was surprised as Issei explained, you are not far off. Her data is outdated, there are more than 2 rangers here. Issei spoke, as Mary and Adam dashed forward to deal with the Grim Reapers, and started fighting the Reaper army. She must have told you that there are supposed to be 5 Gokagers, right? Thanatos nodded. Carmilla did mention that there were 2 more Gokagers, making it a total of 5 Gokagers, but from their intel, only 2 Gokagers should be present on Earth right now. But how did Gakai Green arrive then? It should have only been Gakai Red and Gakai Yellow, that being you and Her Highness respectively. Mary was surprised by this, as she kicked a Grim Reaper and asked. Wait, Juniper was Gakai Yellow, what's going on? Issei looked at her and spoke, I will explain later, Mary Nee. Mary wanted to respond, however, a scythe strike forced her to dodge the attack and responded with a Gakai saber, blocking the scythe as she used the Gakai gun to fire multiple barrages of shots aimed at the Reaper, taking him down. She was surrounded by several more Reapers, as she was forced to clash with all of them. Issei looked at the Grim Reaper horde, he knew that Adam would handle them, but Mary just became a ranger a few hours ago. She was still relatively new and didn't know a lot of her own abilities and capabilities. Your information is outdated again. Juniper gave up her powers a year ago, Mary Nee has taken up her mantle. Issei then brought out his saber and spoke. But enough talk, tell me why Hades has attacked this place. Why are the Black Arms interested in this place? I have no reason to tell you, Hyoudou-sama. But if you can beat me in battle, maybe I will think about telling you. Now hand over that cat. Issei looked in surprise, as he asked cat. Which cat are you talking about? Issei asked in response, to which Thanatos spoke, the one named Shirin, Carmilla needs her for her purposes and goals. Now hand her over. Issei was surprised, as he asked, what do you want Kaneko for? Thanatos glared at him and spoke, you will never find out, Arcadian Emperor, not until you are too late. Issei scowled in response, he saw Thanatos putting his scythe forward and spoke. Let's see what you have got, Red Ranger. Thanatos dashed forward with blinding speeds, ready to take Issei's life, as he unleashed his scythe towards him. Issei blocks with his blade, much to the surprise of Thanatos as he exclaimed. What? Sorry to disappoint you, but I am one of the strongest people in Arcadia out there. Issei pushed Thanatos back with his Gakai saber and started to attack him by unleashing constant slashes, which Thanatos blocks using his own scythe attacks. Issei remembered an attack that had taken place in his house a few days back, as they intended to locate a resident, but abandoned the attack when they realized that the person was not there. Now it made sense on why they attacked them both times, and he was going to get answers. Kaneko and Kuroka were prior residents of the Hyoudou mansion, but after they had broken up with Issei and tried to sleep in his room after his death, they were not permitted to go after him in any way. Issei kicked Thanatos away, as he asked. Mind if I ask a question to you? Thanatos floated a few meters away and responded, if it is in my power to answer, I will do so. Issei narrowed his gaze and asked, is Kuroka with you? Have you captured her in any way? Thanatos was surprised by this, as he asked, how do you know she is with us? Issei only responded in a cold tone. Vali informed me about two things, first is Kuroka still being missing. She has not been seen ever since he kicked her out of his team after what she did to me. The second thing that happened was your asking for Shirin, Aka Kaneko. Now you require her for an unknown purpose, since Kuroka didn't give you the information that you needed, only gave a clue, who is again, Kaneko. So tell me, did I get everything right? Thanatos was surprised by this level of deduction. He really was one of the most cunning strategists that caused major problems for the Black Harem, such that his very name instills fear into the very hearts of his enemies. He only laughed and responded good. You did quite well in deducing that, so. Deduce why we need Kaneko or Shirin for our goals. I will lend you a small hint. Super Devils. Issei became surprised as he spoke Super Devils. Thanatos nodded in response and spoke yes Super Devils, consider this a reward for deducing a part of the puzzle. Thanatos disappeared from his vision and lunged at Issei, who blocked it with his Gakkai saber, as he responded by firing a barrage of bullets towards Thanatos who deflected with his scythe, before he dashed towards Issei in blinding speeds and swish. Thanatos tried to strike Issei, but he backflipped, avoiding the strike, following it up with a barrage of shots from the Gakkai gun, which forced him to defend himself. Partner, if that scythe hits you, it applies a special curse that can shorten your life force. Drake warns Issei, who responds worry not, I can deal with him. Issei responds, as he leaps to the air and fires a few more shots, forcing Thanatos to block it. Issei keeps pushing forward causing him to continue deflecting. Thanatos used his scythe and swish. Issei sidesteps the attack, only to see a crack appear in the forest ground. Before Thanatos could react, Issei slashes him thrice causing him to back away. Thanatos was not happy when he took damage from the attack. Meanwhile, Mary leaps in the air and blasts several Grim Reapers with her own Gakkai gun. Only for Mary to block them with each of her weapons. She smirked underneath her helmet before she kicked the two away with both of her legs, one attacking each Grim Reaper, and before they could react. Bam. 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 She fired a multitude of bullets towards them, causing serious damage. As they dropped their scythes and were taken down, she looked at her Gakkai gun, wondering what other tricks there are to her abilities. She suddenly ducks, seeing a scythe attack aimed at her. She rolled to dodge another strike, as she noted the Grim Reaper attacker to be different from the previous one. Since he had more ornaments and his robe was darker than many other Grim Reapers. I presume you must be the big bad. The captain responded with a respectful manner, yes Yellow Ranger. You and your best friend Claire have been a problem to Hades-sama's goals for a very long time. I may not eliminate Claire, but I can surely eliminate you. Mary could only shake her head and respond, come and try then. Mary pointed her Gakkai gun towards him and spoke, you will fall just like the rest of your Grim Reaper friends. Mary dashed forward using her speed and attacks the Reaper, who blocked it with his scythe. She soon fired a barrage of bullets into his face, causing him to grunt in pain. He pushed Mary behind, landing safely on her 2 feet, as she responded by firing a barrage of bullets onto him, causing him to stagger. She saw several Grim Reapers charging at her, and decided to use her saber to block their attacks. Despite being a human, Mary is one of the strongest humans out there, capable of even keeping up with high to ultimate class beings with ease, which was in her base human state. While using her sacred gears at the same time, she eclipses that by a large margin as she can wipe out entire Grim Reapers like it is nothing, eventually gaining the moniker Homari because of how ruthless and cutthroat she can get with anyone she sees as an enemy. Unlike her brother, who is the nicer of the two, Mary is more cold, aggressive and ruthless whenever anyone threatens her loved ones and friends. She closed the gap between the Grim Reapers and herself, slashing them multiple times before they could react. She is a monster. One of the Grim Reapers tried to flee, only for him to be shot down multiple times in the head. The attacker was revealed to be Mary, who responded, you should have chosen better when you tried to go after my family. Mary looked at the captain, who responded, I will make you pay for what you've done. Mary didn't respond as the Grim Reaper. Captain dashed forward and attacked her, only for Mary to leap in the air to avoid the strike. She soon fired multiple bullets as the Reaper captain blocked them with his scythe and swished her from the left side, which Mary blocked by placing her saber on the left side. She aimed her gun towards his hand and fired a few shots, causing the grip of his handle to loosen. Seeing this, she quickly puts a Gakkai key into her Gakkai saber and inserts it as an announcement was made. Final wave. Mary's Gakkai saber glows with yellow energy. The Grim Reaper captain tries to get away, but it was too late. She closed the gap and exclaimed, Gakkai slash. Before the captain could react, Mary unleashed a slash aimed at his chest, causing a spark of electricity to be released as Mary leaped onto the other side and twirled her saber. The captain could only look in horror before exploding into pieces, as his scythe was the only thing left, aside from the rest of his cloak. While Mary's fight was going on, Adam was fighting against several of the Reapers as he unleashed a horde of strikes towards them, taking down several of them with ease. He looked at them and spoke, "I have no mercy for those that threaten the Ark family in any way." Adam spoke coldly as he fired multiple shots towards the Reapers, who all staggered behind. The Grim Reapers tried to strike him with their blades, as Adam only slid down and responded by striking one of them in the chest multiple times. He soon responded by shooting more shots from his Gakkai gun, damaging several of them. The Grim Reapers responded by slashing their blades onto Adam, who only blocked them with his Gakkai gun and Gakkai saber, as one of them tries to ambush him from the front and back. "Oh no." Adam muttered as he pushed the Grim Reapers back and sliced open one Reaper and killed him instantly. The Reapers could only look in surprise. Adam then followed it up by quickly shooting more shots from his Gakkai gun, taking several of them down, making them drop their scythes. Suddenly, a slash was aimed towards him which he sidestepped to avoid it. He looks to see the Grim Reaper captain of the group walking towards him, like the one fighting against Mary. He also had more ornaments, and his robe was darker than many other Grim Reapers. "I presume you are their leader, right?" The captain responded by showing his scythe forward and spoke. "Yes, and you, Green Ranger, will fall by my blade. This is all for Thanatos-sama." Adam could only shake his head as he asked, "Aren't you supposed to be licking Hades' boot instead of Thanatos?" The captain and many Reapers could be seen gritting their teeth and clenching their scythes in anger as Adam responded, "Did I touch a nerve?" Adam responded as the captain only scowled and retorted, "You should know your place. You are nothing but a filthy wild animal." Adam only stood there in silence. He brought out 2 keys and threw them upwards in the air. He soon opened their hatchets and inserted them. An announcement was soon called. Final wave. The Grim Reapers realized this and foolishly charged at them, as Adam only responded by speaking in a cold tone. Gakkai blast and smash. Adam fired a supercharged shot at them and followed it up by using an energy blade that completely annihilates the Grim Reapers out of existence. The captain tried to block the combined attacks with his scythe, but was unable to do so. Lightning was starting to release from the captain as he soon exploded. Adam returned to his position and spoke coldly. "Never call me a wild animal again, you racist." Adam looked at Mary, who nodded as they took a glance at Issei, who had slashed multiple times towards Thanatos, pushing him back as a huge army was beside him. "Thanatos-sama, are you okay?" One of them spoke as Thanatos needed some time to recover. The two headed towards them as Adam asked, "So what's the plan?" Issei brought out a ranger key, however it was different than before, as Adam realized what this meant. It was time to use the past ranger keys to even the odds against them. "I see." Adam hit the buckle of his belt and brought out a similar key, except the color was blue in color with some changes to the helmet. Mary was confused as the two looked at her with Issei speaking. "Tap the buckle of your belt and imagine Sun Vulcan." Mary nodded. As she did so, she tapped the belt and out came a yellow version of the key as she looked at it and spoke, "Is that mine?" The two nodded as Adam spoke, "Just do the same when you morphed for your original key. You should be able to transform into a similar form." Mary nodded as the trio brought out their mobilates. The Grim Reapers used a magic barrage to attack them, but Issei unleashed a barrier to protect them. The dust settled, showing they are fine, and they exclaimed at the same time. "Gakkai change." A bright glow surrounded the area as Thanatos looked in surprise. They watched him transform into a different ranger form. The mobilates soon announced Sun Vulcan. The Rangers transformed into their Sun Vulcan counterparts, except Adam, who transformed into a blue variation of the Ranger that didn't belong to him. They entered into their poses. "Vol Eagle." Issei exclaimed first, as Adam followed. "Vol Shark." Adam exclaimed second, and Mary finally exclaimed. "Vol Panther." The trio were looked on in horror by the Grim Reapers and surprised by Thanatos. "No way. They can transform into past Rangers." One of them spoke as they wondered what other Rangers they can transform into. The trio rushed towards Thanatos and his batch of Reapers and decided to take them on. Mary headed first in her Volpanther form. She can easily perform flips and somersaults without a problem. She kept backflipping around, avoiding any magical blasts aimed at her, as one of the Grim Reapers tried to slash her only for Mary to leap, while exclaiming, "Hoi!" Mary followed it up with a kick, sending one of them flying. As another tries to slash her, she crouched and kicks one, sending them flying. She soon lands a leaping kick, sending 3 of them flying, taking them out cold. She soon got into her panther-like pose and exclaimed, "Rior." Several more Grim Reapers charged at her, annoyed by how much fun Mary is making of them, as Mary brought out her Vulcan stick and exclaimed, "Panther Galaxy." Mary thrusts the stick into the ground to open the ground in front of her. The attack immediately swallowed the Grim Reapers whole as they struggled to fly, but Mary was not letting that happen, as she leaped in the air and jumping over them as if they were platforms, before the Grim Reapers plummet to their deaths. The ground closes once Mary removes the stick as she looks at the new form, so this is the power of past rangers. Mary responded, wondering on how Issei and Adam were doing in the meantime. Adam started by quickly dispatching some of the Grim Reapers, by twirling into a ball as he took down several of the Reapers like it was nothing. He soon ambushed several more Grim Reapers by digging into the ground. Where did he go? One of them exclaimed, locate him, I want him dealt with. Adam was using the groundwater to his advantage. He smirked, knowing on how he is going to enjoy taking them down. The ground suddenly shook and water sprouted, sending the Grim Reapers flying, as Adam started to twirl like a tornado on the Grim Reapers, sending them flying. In a sprout of water, Adam rushed towards the Grim Reapers and exclaimed, Sky Shark. Adam dashed onto the Grim Reapers and attacks the legs of standing foes, causing the Grim Reapers to stagger. He then quickly reacted and slammed his hands over and over again on multiple Grim Reapers' faces, causing them to shout in pain. Shark jaws. The attacks were almost akin to a shark chomping on their heads. The blows were strong enough to cause all of the Grim Reapers that were Adam's targets to fall on the ground. He looks at his targets with a cold look as he watches Issei fight against Thanatos. Issei was in the air. He soon kicked Thanatos as he jumped in, a silhouette of a setting sun behind him. Thanatos tried to slash him, but Issei sidestepped and dodged the attack. He then ambushed him from behind, quicker than Thanatos could notice, as he swung his scythe to strike Issei, who ducked to avoid it. The mere slash released an afterimage that destroyed any nearby trees. Issei only rolled over and unleashed several more punches and kicked aimed at Thanatos in a quick manner before he could notice, before he then curled into a ball and unleashed 2 claw slashes, pushing Thanatos back and entered into an eagle-like stance while exclaiming, Trihexa. Thanatos was getting even more angrier at how Issei was easily overpowering them. He then summoned more magic circles, revealing the rest of his army, as he exclaimed, you will never beat me, Hyoudou-sama. Thanatos exclaimed with a growl, as Issei, Mary and Adam looked around ready to fight against the army. However, suddenly, pew, pew, boom. The Grim Reapers screamed in pain as they were taken out of the fight. Thanatos then exclaimed, what the hell just happened? Thanatos looked around to see a ship similar to the Quintus flying around. Issei and Adam recognized the ship, with Issei speaking, no way. Issei spoke with a surprised tone, as Adam spoke, it's them, metal team of the 501st. A voice suddenly announced to them. Yeah, I am glad you recognized us, Adam. Issei and Adam recognized the voice to be James Ironwood, as Thanatos glares at the ship. It's good to see you again, your highness, and Yellow Ranger. Mary then spoke forward, the name's Mary. Who are you? James recognized who the person was and understood that she was the Emperor's older sister. James spoke after a while, so you must be the second Yellow Ranger. Well, we can chat later, I believe you would be needing help. Hikari and Victor are ready to join the fight. Mary was surprised by this, as Issei and Adam were confused. The reason they couldn't come to Earth DXD was because they had work. But shouldn't they be busy? James responded to Issei. For now, they are free and are willing to join. Mary looked at Issei and asked, are these 2 the last Gakagers you mentioned? Issei gave a nod, as soon enough 2 figures dropped from the ship and stood right next to Issei, Mary and Adam. The first was described to be a man who is tall, grizzly, muscular, having medium-length black hair with streaks of gray on it and a beard. The gear he is donning is a white and gray bodysuit, armed with a bulletproof vest covering his entire body, along with armor pieces around his arms and knees. This was Victor Kraus, the leader of the metal team and the Blue Ranger of the Gakagers. The second was described to be a beautiful woman with long flowing red hair that cascades and curls over her shoulders. She has striking red eyes that complement her hair color. She wears a golden tiara on her head, and fairy-like wings with a subtle pink hue extend from her back. Her outfit consists of a pink dress with golden accents and floral embroidery on the sleeves. The dress has a deep neckline and is cinched at the waist with a wide, ornate golden belt. She is also adorned with earrings that resemble stars. This is Hikari Rosedream, the leader of the fairy unit, a professor, as well as the Gakai Pink. Been a while, Ice. Hikari spoke cheerfully with a smile. Issei nods and responds. Yeah, good to see you too, Hikari. Hikari Rosedream was one of Issei's closest friends, and they have known each other for a very long time. Mary notices the 2 have a shared history together. I'm glad we could make it, wouldn't want to miss our big debut as Rangers over here. Victor spoke, with Issei and Adam nodding. Adam then speaks. Yeah, we were surrounded, it would have been much harder had the 2 of you not shown up. Hikari then spoke with a neutral tone. Well, it's good we got here in time then. Hikari and Victor got forward and glared at Thanatos, who was shocked and surprised seeing the 2 here, one being a fairy and the other being an ordinary human. What the hell? Who are you? "And what are the two of you doing here?" Thanatos exclaimed as Hikari responded mockingly, "Let's just say that your troubles are only going to get worse." Hikari and Victor looked at Thanatos dead in the eye. She asked Victor, while bringing out her own Gakkai key, which was pink as opposed to Adam's, Issei's or Mary's. "You ready for this, Victor?" Victor nodded as he brought out his own Gakkai key, which was blue, and spoke. "I'm always ready. Especially for this." They inserted their keys into their mobilates and exclaimed, "Gakkai change." Their mobilates announced with response, "Gakkaiger." They both transformed into their own Gakkaiger suits. Hikari transforms into a pink version of the Gakkaigers known as Gakkai Pink, while Victor transforms into a blue version of Gakkaiger known as Gakkai Blue. Gakkai Blue. Victor spoke first, getting into his pose, as Hikari soon followed Gakkai Pink. Hikari was the next to speak, as Issei, Adam and Mary returned to their original Gakkaiger forms. They all brought out their weapons ready for the fight. Thanatos starting to feel fear seeing that all 5 Gakkaigers have returned. The Black Arms warn him about the same rangers that are still causing problems to the Black Arms that have been fleeing from planet to planet, acting as pirates and taking their stuff and bringing it back to Arcadia. Issei walked forward and spoke. "Kizoku Sentai." All 5 soon follow and respond quickly. "Gakkaiger." Thanatos looked at them and commanded the Grim Reapers. "Attack." The Grim Reapers all dashed forward with them ready to attack, as the 5 Gakkaigers also dash forward and clash against the Reaper horde. Hikari and Mary look at their horde of Reapers, as Hikari spoke. "So you're the new one in town? Let's see if you can keep up. I have skills in fighting, you know." Mary retorted as the duo of girls were starting to fight against the Grim Reapers. Hikari used her Gakkai saber to block an attack before pushing the Grim Reaper and slashing him in the stomach before firing multiple bullets at him. Another ambushes her from behind as she ducks and follows it up with multiple slashes towards the Grim Reaper. Before he could react, another one was ready to slash at her, as Hikari only responded by firing multiple shots at him, causing him to drop his scythe as he soon fell to the ground. She smoked the gun and spoke. "Who's next?" Some Grim Reapers angrily charged at Hikari. They hated that a fairy of all things was making a mockery of them when they appeared right a few feet away from her, and they swung their scythes. She leaped into the air and puts her key into her Gakkai gun and inserts it as it announced final wave. "Gakkai Blast." Hikari exclaimed as she fired a pink energy blast towards the Reapers, completely taking them out of the fight. "Amazing." Mary muttered with amazement as she took out a horde of Grim Reapers with quick thinking, as Hikari spoke. "From what I can tell, you survived this far, not bad for a rookie." Mary got slightly annoyed as she spoke. "I may be a rookie when it comes to being a ranger, but I am not a rookie when it comes to fighting. These Reapers." Hikari thought for a moment as she spoke. "Well then, let's handle this horde." The two could see a horde of Reapers surrounding them. The 2 girls got ready for their clash against the horde as sparks of blade clashes between the 2 rangers and the Grim Reaper horde was happening. In the meantime, Adam and Victor were fighting against their own horde of Grim Reapers, as Victor spoke. "You know, I'm kind of surprised that you took up Volshark as your own costume. Since you aren't a fan of shark-based rangers." Adam retorted back by slashing a Reaper at his stomach, pushing him back. "I had no other choice, they were transforming into Sun Vulcan and I." Adam was interrupted when one of them charged at him as he used his Gakkai gun to fire multiple shots, forcing the Reaper to block, as Adam soon leaped in the air and slashed the Reaper from behind, taking him out of the fight. "And there is no green or black ranger variants of that team," Adam explained, as Victor responded. "True, that is one of the few 3-man teams that stayed that way." Adam nodded in agreement as he fired more shots at the Grim Reapers, as Victor called out. "Adam, pass me your saber, take my gun instead." Adam nodded and flung his Gakkai saber towards Victor, who responded by throwing his Gakkai gun towards Adam. As they both took their weapons, Victor throws 2 keys in the air and inserted them into both sabers, as they announced. Final wave. Victor dashed forward and exclaimed. "Double energy slash." Victor took down an entire horde of Grim Reapers like it was nothing, as Adam and Victor soon noticed that there were a horde of Grim Reapers approaching them as they got ready to clash against them. Issei was clashing against Thanatos, parrying his attacks as he soon blocked another strike and fired 2 shots towards his leg. Thanatos exclaimed in annoyance. "Curse you." Thanatos staggered as Issei soon slashed his arm as he started to loosen the grip on the handle as he tried to strike, but Issei was not going to let that happen. He followed it up with many more slashes aimed at his arms, causing him to drop the scythe. Thanatos tried to obtain the scythe back, but Issei fired many more shots using his Gakkai gun, causing him to back away. The Grim Reapers surrounded him, and one of them spoke in worry. "Thanatos-sama." Thanatos could only glare at Issei, who now had his scythe as he picked it up and spoke. "Nice scythe, I wonder what I can do with it." Thanatos retorted in anger in his voice. "Hand that back, Hyoudou." Issei could only grin and spoke. "No, I don't think I will." Issei gave a glance to his team, as Issei then asked. Ready for another change? It's time for the Zyringers. The 3 team members nodded, as Mary looked doubtful. Hikari noticed this and spoke, I believe Issei must have told you, rookie. Mary wanted to get angry, but she calmed down. Issei could only shake his head, knowing Hikari used to even taunt Juniper as her time being the Yellow Ranger. Why yes, I am. Mary tapped the buckle of her belt with the others as they brought out Zyringer keys as they exclaimed. Gakai change. They inserted the key and turned it around as the mobilate announced. Zyringer. The Rangers rushed towards them and started attacking the group as Hikari was the first as she used her bow while exclaiming to fire several pink energy shots, taking out several of the Grim Reapers. Terrabo. Hikari continued to fire many more shots as a Reaper's scythe tries to strike her only for her to roll and continue to fire several shots at them, taking down many of them with ease. She twirled her bow and spoke. Just like butter, seems perfect in my hands. Some of the Reapers charged towards Hikari, who used her fairy wings to fly in the air, releasing a red color glitter which distracted the Grim Reapers. Parachute. Hikari exclaimed as she followed it up with several pink energy blasts that completely took out the Grim Reapers. Saber dagger. Mary exclaimed as she slashed them with her daggers repeatedly, taking out several of the Grim Reapers with each slash. One of the Grim Reapers attacked him from up as Mary blocked with one dagger as she uses the second dagger to slash the stomach, taking the other down. Leaping across the air, she soon followed it up with a brutal slash aimed at the stomach as she blocked another strike as she unleashed a cross slash towards the Grim Reaper, taking another one out. Tiger clone technique. Mary creates several clones of herself as they all attack the Grim Reapers, infusing them on which Mary is the real one since all of them look the same. They tried to use magic to sense which one is unique, but Mary was not going to let that happen. Tiger bite. Mary used a technique that comprised of a throwing attack with his saber daggers while tossing the enemy in combination with his clones, taking out her batch of attacks. Quite amazing for a rookie. Mary looked at her, but before she could respond, she then spoke. Relax hotshot, it's a compliment, the fact that you did amazing on the first day. Issei really knows on how to choose his rangers well. Mary nodded as she spoke with a slightly cheerful tone. Thank you. Hikari twirled her bow in response, knowing that a new Yellow Ranger has returned. Adam rolled to dodge several scythe attacks towards the Adam as he exclaimed, bringing out his axe, sliding the butt of the axe blade down to the knob and used the blaster mode of his weapon. Moth cannon. Adam followed it up by unleashing a powerful beam and aimed at the Grim Reapers as they screamed in pain. Adam moved the axe from left to right as the Grim Reapers were taken down, no matter what they did. They tried to defend using their scythes, but the beams were much more powerful than they expect. 2 Grim Reapers charged at him as Adam returned the cannon to its axe state as he blocked it with a strike. He soon unleashed his attack. Mammoth breaker. Adam sliced the Grim Reaper in half, killing the Reaper immediately. The other looked in horror as Adam quickly decapitated the next Grim Reaper before he could react. Adam twirled his axe as he could see that he managed to take down his set of Grim Reapers. Victor leaped in the air as he exclaimed. Tricera lance. Victor took down some of the Grim Reapers as he locked a Grim Reaper's scythe on the ground. He kicked some strikes onto the faces of the Reapers, pushing them back as he exclaims. Tricera thrust. Victor picked up the lance and kicked the Grim Reaper, sending them flying as he thrusted the lance into multiple Grim Reapers chained into a line, taking several of them down. Victor dashed forward and used his lance to strike the Grim Reaper that was sent flying as he blocks it with his scythe. Victor then pushes him back. Victor soon follows it up with a back punch as he thrusted the lance into his stomach, taking him out of the fight. Seems like I still got it, despite the age. Victor spoke with a smirk. He was just a simple human as opposed to Issei or Hikari and didn't wield a sacred gear like Mary did. Issei was clashing against his own horde of Reapers as he exclaimed. Dino strike sword. He slashed onto 2 Reapers as one tried to strike him, but he blocks it and returns a strike aimed at their chests, taking them out of the equation. Looking in the air, he ran 2 fingers on his blade and generated several energy slashes, taking out the Grim Reaper horde. All of them started to sparkle with electricity before explosions happened, taking them out of the fight. Issei soon dashed towards Thanatos while exclaiming, try handling this one without your scythe. Issei dashes forward and generates a vertical slash as Thanatos tries to block the attack. My secret technique, sword catching. Thanatos tries to catch the saber, but it missed and instead struck his chest. Thanatos then spoke, well done. Issei only responded by exclaiming. Yeah, thanks. He follows it up with a vertical slash, taking him out as Thanatos rolls back from the pain, recoiling. The others soon joined as Victor suggested. Let's end this. Issei exclaimed in response. Yeah. But before they could unleash their final attack, someone calls out to them. Stop. The 5 Rangers and Thanatos turned to the ones that called out to them as it was Zeus that did so. Zeus then spoke, thank you, Gakagers, but I will take it from here. Issei, Mary and Adam stopped, while Victor and Hikari were confused, as Victor asked, who are you? And why did you ask us to stop? Zeus introduced himself to the last two rangers that had recently joined. I am Lord Zeus, the leader of the Greek pantheon. You must be Gakai Blue and Gakai Pink, right? Victor and Hikari remembered the name, as they understood on why he was here. Hikari then spoke, so what's the plan with him, Lord Zeus? Zeus looked at Thanatos, who could only look away. He knew he was going to be sealed. Zeus then spoke, we will be interrogating and sealing him. I need to know what Hades' intentions are. Zeus spoke towards Thanatos as some of the Greek pantheon gods came and arrested Thanatos immediately, teleporting him out of there and heading to Olympus. Zeus then asked, by the way, which form is this? Mighty Morphin. Issei corrected in response, it's Zyranger. Mighty Morphin only took footage from its Super Sentai counterpart, along with several other stuff. Zeus nodded as he responded with a shrug, well, not everyone watches Super Sentai. So I am only familiar with its Power Ranger counterparts. Issei and the others nodded, as he soon got a notification in his system. Quest completed. Defeat the Grim Reapers before they can complete their mission. Rewards. 10,000, lean plus 50,000 X plus new Gakai change. Shinkenger. Issei was surprised, as Hikari sensed this and responded. Guess you got something new, eh? Yep. As soon as Issei said this, their belts started to glow, as Issei, Hikari, Victor and Adam tapped their belts, and soon came the Shinkenger keys for red, blue, green and pink rangers. Mary also followed suit and got a yellow Shinkenger key. All keys were glowing in response. What is this? Mary asked, looking at her glowing key, as Victor exclaimed, whenever His Highness senses something amiss, we often get a new Gakai change. It happens rarely, but I have a feeling that more will happen. Victor explained, he was one of the few people that knew about the system. Aside from that, all members of the Gakagers, both old and new, are aware of the system, since they are going to need an explanation on how Issei got the Mobilates. Even Mary was informed about this once the Arcadian arcs had settled down in the Hyoudou residence. I see. Mary looked at her key, as Zeus asked, what are you all planning to do now? Issei looked at Zeus and responded, we will be paying Hades a little visit. Nobody harms my parents and gets away with it. Issei spoke coldly, as Zeus wanted to convince Issei to not kill Hades, as Issei responded, I won't kill him, I will let you deal with him. But I will make sure that they don't ever think of harming my family ever again. Mary agreed to this, as the other rangers were also getting ready to pay a little visit to Hades. Zeus could only internally groan, knowing Hades is not going to learn, and will continue to suffer, if he keeps annoying the Arcadians by these actions. Even with the black arms, his chances of survival are very low, if he continues to work with them. Scene change. Hades' domain, 8:30 p.m. Hades was preparing for his meeting with the other members of the Alliance of Hell. But before he could, a Grim Reaper rushes inside. Hades Sama. The Grim Reaper called out as Hades asked, what is it? The Grim Reaper responded with fear. A huge ship has breached our domain. Take a look outside. Hades rushed outside with the Reaper and saw a huge pirate ship that was red in color, heading their way. Hades wondered who exactly the attacker was, as the ship started to fire its cannons onto Hades' realm. Hades recognized the ship when he saw the symbol. It was similar to Issei's and Mary's Gakai emblems on their suits, and this was also mentioned by Carmilla and her black arms. This was the Gakai galleon. Stop that ship. I don't want that ship near my territory. Hades commanded as the Reapers responded. The ship stopped after dealing enough damage, much to their surprise. Soon enough, 5 attackers came from the ship, as it was revealed to be the Gakagers, back in their regular form. Hades released his aura and anger upon seeing them, especially Issei, as he demanded, what is the meaning of this, Sekirute? Issei only scowled as he knew what this man had done. He walked forward and before anyone could react, he punched him so hard that his jaw broke, sending the god of death flying a few meters away as he crashed onto a wall. The result was Hades having a cracked jaw, as his eyes glowed with anger. He shouts, get them. In an instant, they were surrounded by 1,000 Grim Reapers, as Hikari spoke, Ice, you thinking what I am thinking? Hikari asked, to which Issei responded, yeah. Issei gave a glance towards Mary, Adam and Victor, who all nodded, as they brought out a new Ranger key and inserted it into their Mobilates, and exclaimed, Gakai change. The Mobilate soon announced in response, Shinkenger. Several kanji symbols appear for each respective ranger, individually replacing each key as their suit changes, and soon enough, the kanji symbols replaced their helmets, transforming them into their Shinkenger counterparts. The Gakagers, now Shinkengers, stood up and placed their blades up, as Mary exclaimed, Samurai Sentai. They unleashed their blades and get into their positions as they all exclaimed, Shinkenger. The Reapers soon charged at them, with some firing their dark magic blasts of Greek origin, but they were all deflected to the ground. They leaped to a separate location as they dashed forward in blinding speeds, inserting the samurai discs into the hilt of the sword and spun it as it glows with the respective elemental color, quintuple slash. Mary and Hikari were the first to strike. Their strikes were of earth and wind based, with the colors being yellow and pink respectively. Adam and Victor were the next, as their slashes were of nature and water, with the colors being green and blue respectively. Issei was the last to strike, who struck twice in quick succession, his slashes being of fire, the slashes were red in color. The Grim Reapers were crackling with electricity as they explode in an instant. Hades was shocked and terrified as Issei walked forward and spoke. "This is your only warning, Hades-sama." Issei spoke with a very cold tone. He then spoke. "You are only alive because my parents were unharmed, but if you even lay a single finger on my family." Issei inserted a disc in the hilt of his blade and destroyed a nearby rock formation above Hades, using a fiery dance. "I will chase you to the ends of the earth and crush you completely like the disgusting ant you are." Issei exclaimed with anger. Hades was terrified. This was another thing Nicholas warned Hades of. It was his rage, and this was something that all the leaders of the Black Arms have encountered, examples being Carmilla, Vlad, and Nicholas, all of whom were terrified of it. Issei twirled his sword back and spoke. "Let's go." The Rangers nodded as Mary unleashed her own slash, which was Earth character slash, that took the shape of a yellow kanji which signified Earth, towards the opposite direction of the nearby rock formation that Issei destroyed, making Hades more terrified. "And he won't be alone, remember that." Mary spoke coldly as the Gakagers entered their ship, returning back to normal. Hades could only watch as they left in their Gakai galleon. He clenches his fists in anger, knowing how even more dangerous Issei has become and what he is now capable of. He needed to inform the others, as he shouts with fury. "Hide, Issei. I will destroy you if it's the last thing I do." Mary was inside the ship, Gakai galleon, lying on a bed. She had one thing in mind. Unlike the rest of the Gakagers, she was the only one who had her morpher transferred to her. Meaning she was not the first Gakai Yellow. What does this mean? There was someone before me? If so, why did she quit? Mary wondered this for a moment before remembering on who exactly was her predecessor. Juniper, she was the first Gakai Yellow. Mary remembered Hikari speaking about it. She would need to talk to her on why she quit being the Yellow Ranger of the Gakagers. Her thoughts were soon snapped out when someone entered. This was Hikari, the Pink Ranger of the Gakagers. "Yo rookie." Mary got up and looked at Hikari and spoke. "Oh hey Hikari. Seems like your brother chose a decent candidate for being the Yellow Ranger." Mary nodded upon hearing this as she spoke. "Thanks Hikari." Hikari muttered with a smile and sat beside her. Mary then asked. "Hikari, may I ask you this?" "Go on." Mary responded to this. "Why did Juniper leave the team? You said I was the second Gakai Yellow, so why did the first one leave?" Hikari flinched upon this. She knew that Juniper had left the team after a certain incident involving a different team of evil Sentai Rangers. This was secretly done by Carmilla to weaken the Gakagers while she was heading to Issei's home planet. In another room, Issei was with Adam and Victor in the Gakai galleon as Victor spoke, looking at the Sentai key of Shinkenger that he just gained today. "So this means we managed to gain all the Sentai till Gakager, correct?" "Yep, we managed to get them all. Now all that remains is the last 10 or 11 Sentai that we need to get." Adam looked at the screen. The VS Sentai showed that they may end up getting both of the Sentai separately and agreed, to which he spoke. "This means we have to gain 11 more Sentai powers before we can get the ultimate power in the universe, correct?" "Yes again, we gained the Shinkenger, and with that, we need to gain even more Sentai." Issei spoke, remembering the system mentioning a legendary power that could even transcend beyond the universe. They knew Carmilla and the Black Arms couldn't get their hands on this, so they had to get more Sentai powers so that they can keep it safely and under protection. Issei called this the greatest treasure in the universe. She managed to get access to one, and that almost led to Arcadia's ruin back when Juniper was the Yellow Ranger of the team. And to the team's unawareness, that Sentai team caused Juniper to leave the team, causing Mary to take her place. They noticed the screen of the Shinkenger being bold, implying they got this one recently. They looked at the screen wondering which Sentai they would get next. 1. Himitsu Sentai Goranger. 2. JAK-Q Denjekatai. 3. Battle Fever J4 Denshi Sentai Denjiman. 5. Taiyo Sentai Sun Vulcan. 6. Dai Sentai Goggle V7 Kagaku Sentai Dynaman. 8. Chidenshi Bioman. 9. Denjeki Sentai Changeman. 10. Chaoshinsei Flashman. 11. Hikari Sentai Maskman. 12. Chaoju Sentai Liveman. 13. Kasoku Sentai Turbo Ranger. 14. Chikyu Sentai Fiveman. 15. Chajin Sentai Jetman. 16. Kyoryu Sentai's Iranger. 17. Gasei Sentai Derringer. 18. Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. 19. Chiriki Sentai Oranger. 20. Jekasu Sentai Karanger. 21. Denji Sentai Mega Ranger. 22. Seijuu Sentai Gingaman. 23. Kaiukyu Sentai Gogafiv. 24. Mirai Sentai Time Ranger. 25. Hyakuju Sentai Garanger. 26. Ninkyu Sentai Hurricanager. 27. Bakuryu Sentai Abranger. 28. Takisu Sentai Dekaranger. 29. Mahu Sentai Majiranger. 30. Gogo Sentai Baukanger. 31. Juken Sentai Jekaranger. 32. Engine Sentai Goonger. 33. Samurai Sentai Shinkanger. 34. Tensu Sentai Gosager. 35. Kizoku Sentai Gakager. So what's next, huh? Adam asked, to which a voice called them out. I believe I can answer that. The group turned a steampunk-inspired mechanical bird with a sleek armored design. Its dark brown or deep red body is adorned with golden accents and intricate mechanical details, giving it an elegant yet intimidating appearance. The bird-like head features a large curved metallic beak and glowing eyes, enhancing its robotic aesthetic. Its broad wings, equipped with sharp talon-like extensions, add to its formidable look, while its short, sturdy legs end in clawed feet. This was Navi, a creation that Jade, Issei and Juniper's daughter, developed from her system that has the power of foresight. So what you got, bird? Issei asked, to which Navi responded with a tone of annoyance. Don't call me a bird. My name is Navi. Speak up. Issei declared, to which Navi fixed herself and responded. Formation of a spy with sunglasses. It shall arrive a day from today. But a man in silver will arrive soon in India to assist. Issei noted this down, with Victor and Adam doing the same, as Adam asked. Could this be related to the 6th ranger of our team? Someone that is supposed to be our destined silver ranger that we have been looking for. Could be, but why India of all places? Issei looked at Navi, who seemed to respond. I don't know, but that is all I can state, I am sorry. Issei took a deep breath, as Victor spoke in response. Well, all your predictions have been mostly accurate, so don't apologize. Anyways, we should get a move on. Your son's match must be done by now. Oh, I hope not, I don't want to miss the match. Adam looked at the navigation and changed it to the television screen, as he spoke. Maybe we can watch it from here, if that sounds good. Well, I guess there is nothing we can do. Issei responded as he sat down on the chair. The trio continued to watch the match, excited to see John starting to overpower Barakiel, all the while coordinating with his team to take out the other fallen angels and eliminate them before they can cause a problem to his winning. In another room, Mary and Hikari were discussing why Juniper left the team, eventually making her the 2nd Yellow Ranger. Hikari then spoke. I might as well explain to you on why she left the team. Hikari's wings were fluttering and drooping, she seemed to be saddened, as Mary looked at her and asked. So what happened? You see, before heading here, Carmilla had secretly managed to head to a different planet, collect the Sentai energy, and unleashed 5 robotic suits that had attacked us in Arcadia a few months ago. They called themselves the Jade and Sentai Nezeranger, or as Carmilla called them, the Psycho Rangers. Those 5 were no joke, injuring and even killing several Arcadian soldiers and causing massive destruction in Arcadia. Like all Sentai, they are considered to be powerful, yet they were all evil and cruel in nature. Mary was surprised by this, and other Sentai teams shocked her to no bounds. She wondered where the Sentai were and what they were doing. If you're wondering, all 5 of them are destroyed. However, these Sentai Rangers were obsessed with a ranger of their respective color code and will do anything to kill them. So for instance, Nizird would be obsessed with the Red Ranger, Aka your brother Issei, then Niziblue was obsessed with the. Mary ended her statement speaking with a tone of surprise. Victor, that was whom he was obsessed with. Correct, well Nizi Black was obsessed with taking down and killing Adam, since there is no Gakai Black. And my main nemesis was Nizi Pink. Juniper got to deal with the cruelest and deceptive of them all. She was analytic, using quick thinking, and had little to no empathy for the Arcadian she killed. The person was Nizi Yellow. She toyed and mentally broke Juniper, taunting and goading her into thinking she was a failure of an empress and a ranger, especially when she used children and other Arcadians as hostages. Mary nodded, listening intently to her story. She then asked. So how did you know Carmilla was the one that unleashed them? It was a recording that she had brought them to life. She knew that this would stall us from ever reaching her true goal. Which we later found out to be heading to this planet and conquering this one so that she can gain an upper hand against Arcadia. Worse, even if they are destroyed, we don't know if Carmilla can bring them back or if she is bringing them back as we speak. Mary gulped at this, she was feeling afraid, knowing what kind of monster Carmilla can be, especially for Issei and her loved ones. Hikari sensed her fear and spoke. She truly is a monster with no soul, Mary. She has no concern on what she does and how many lives she has taken in the name of science. She was a problem for Arcadia even before your brother and sister-in-law stepped on the throne. Almost 30 years, she has been a problem. So how do these Nezarangers look? Hikari looked at her and only brought out her scroll and showed her an image. That showed 5 Sentai Rangers in a different Sentai costume. The ones you see are the Nezarangers. Mary looked at her scroll with a look of amazement as Hikari spoke. The color code should give you a giveaway on who they are. The pink is Neezy pink, the yellow is Neezy yellow, and so on and so forth. Mary looked at the yellow ranger of the Nezarangers with a look of anger, knowing the pain she caused to her family. She also looked at the rest of them with contempt, with Mary speaking in response after taking a deep breath to calm her down. I see. Mary responded with a normal tone as Hikari leaned on the walls of the Gakkai galleon and spoke. We know that she has a woman named Ingvild Leviathan as a hostage, but we don't really know where she is and what she is doing. The attack we caused in the underworld will not be taken lightly by Hades and the Black Arms, along with the Alliance of Hell, all of whom will want to get back at us with the Sentai team coming back for a season 2 is a possibility. But the Black Arms leaders know that messing with your brother is little close to a death sentence. Even Carmilla is afraid of Issei. Why would they be afraid of Issei? Mary asked, unaware of some things that happened in Arcadia, to which Hikari responded. They are all afraid of his rage. It is extremely and the most rare even amongst the arcs, but when it happens. Your brother is close to unstoppable when he enters into this state, and Nicholas, Carmilla and Vlad have all been beaten to death from his rage, so much so they are afraid of confronting him head on. That is why. They will go after our loved ones, right? Hikari gave a nod and responded. Correct, and Carmilla has done this before. She has killed many of Issei's army men before just to spite him. The net result, Carmilla was beaten to near death and almost would have died had it not been for Juniper stopping him. Mary nodded. She remembered Issei's rage before this and remembered RageRevan taking their parents hostage. It didn't end well for him, and the only reason he escaped was barely with his life. Although Fafnir killed him later on. I still remember that even RageRevan, someone who was considered a super devil, who repeatedly toyed with us multiple times, was afraid when Issei literally chased him despite him escaping to different locations. He had made sure to beat him completely before the super devil was ultimately killed. His mistake, he took our parents as hostages. Hikari nodded, being well aware of this from hearing of Issei. He and many of the 501st members are aware of Issei's stories from his world and know what he is capable of in his homeworld. Unlike Nicholas in canon, he actively hid his past. Issei made no effort in doing so, with Hikari being aware of how much Issei liked her breasts. She also didn't mind, and if Issei went for a harem route, she would be happy to join him. It was clear they cared for each other, and Issei trusted her a lot, and so she did. Wanted to ask. What is your bond with my brother? Mary asked Hikari as she remained silent with a slight blush covering her cheeks. She shook those thoughts off and decided to lie down completely, as she responded with a gentle smile after a while. It happened 30 years ago. I was a professor at Magic Academy, and I had trained your brother in magic. I was a professor at Cosmic and Light Magic. Your brother was the one that got my attention. He was hardworking despite his capabilities, and I paid extra attention to him, since during that time, not many were interested back then in learning Cosmic and Light Magic due to how hard and complicated it can get. And believe me, it was. The cosmic magic allows the user to control cosmic bodies like meteors and other planets, then light magic allows light generation and creation. The latter was less complicated and harder than the regular magic. I myself took Issei under my wing, and as time passed, we started to get close and trust each other. Hikari spoke with a smile, remembering the time they spent together. She didn't mind training and teaching him, as she enjoyed her time being with him, as she continued with a more sadder smile. But he fell for Juniper, and I am not against that. I am happy that he found his own happiness, despite what happened to him with those girls that betrayed him. Hikari spoke the last part with slight anger, to which Mary asked. You know about Rias, Akeno, Kaneko, all those girls? I do. Issei told me, and the rest of the 501st are aware of them. Many actually frown on what they did to him, with several disliking them for what they did to Issei. Regardless, they made their choice in breaking up with him. And the fact that they think that they can control him really annoys me. Hikari spoke with a tone of annoyance, as Mary gave a nod. She wanted to make them suffer, but knew the karma had already taken its course in dealing with those women. The fact they chose to even have the gall to enter Issei's room after his supposed death was really infuriating to no end, and them demanding Issei to serve and work for them only made things worse. Trust me, they haven't learned. They tried to enter Issei's room in order for them to show their grief. It turns out they were really afraid of the fallout of Issei's death, destroying their reputation. Hikari looked at her and spoke with anger while getting up. They did. Oh, I am going to make them regret ever doing that. No need. I made an example out of them. Mary spoke. As she continued. I lost myself when they had the audacity to pretend to care and love him, especially after breaking his heart in such a manner. I see. Hikari once again lied down on the bed as she spoke. That's good to hear. Fairy magic can be really dangerous for demons, if in this case devils. They have zero magical inbuilt resistance to that, and their demonic-based spells are ineffective against them. Meaning fairy spells are even more dangerous to them, especially fairy dust, that can cause either paralysis or drowsiness, depending on how much is inhaled, and with devils' zero inbuilt resistance, they are as good as screwed. Mary took a note of this, wondering if she were to deal with Riaz in such a manner, if she does annoy her or her family in any manner. Well, it is good working alongside you, rookie. Mary nodded, as the girls gave a smile to each other. Mary knew it would take a while for her to graduate from a rookie to being a full-time ranger, but she can wait till then. Scene change. VIP room, Angel Heart Stadium, 9:30 p.m. The match was already done with 3-4 THS, as Issei and his company came, all 5 Gakagers had finally arrived. Juniper looked at them and gave a smile to her former teammates as she spoke. You all came? Yeah, we did. So you decided to shift to the VIP room instead of the stands, right? Issei asked, to which Juniper nodded. They had to at least ensure that Goru and Mickey were kept safely in case the attack reached the stands. So they moved to the VIP room where they continued to watch the match, as Juniper responded. And it's good to see you again, Victor, Hikari. It is, Your Highness. Victor spoke with a bow, as Hikari added. Indeed it is, so guess your son's on the match, eh? Juniper gave a nod to them and spoke. And Victor, you needn't be so formal with me, let's continue on with the match. And Hikari. Hikari turned to Rosemary as she spoke. It's been a while, Rose, how have you been? I have been good. Hikari gave a smile as she turned to the rest of the Arc sisters and spoke. And the rest of you? We are good as well, Aunt Hikari. Saffron spoke with a smile, happy to see her aunt again, with Bianca speaking for the rest. Us too, Aunt. Issei soon introduced the team to his parents and the faction leaders, as Goru spoke with a chuckle. Ha! My boy certainly knows how to choose beauties, I am so proud of you. Goru was unable to complete when Mickey smacked him in the stomach, speaking. Goru, you can't speak about someone like that. Issei and Mary had a drop of sweat seeing their parents' antics, as Issei spoke. They are kind of eccentric. Hikari giggled in response, upon seeing this, as she spoke. It's alright, Ice, they are not bad people. Indeed, they are good people, but why don't you come and sit down? The duo nodded as they all sat down and watched the match. In the meantime, the faction leaders were watching them and having their own discussion. He is really happy, isn't he? Serzicha spoke, as Azazel responded with a normal tone. Yep, I know what you are thinking, Zetches, a part of you wished that your sister was also there, right? Serzichas nodded and spoke. I did, but I can't understand why Riaz can't realize that she has lost him. Why does she want him back so badly just to improve her reputation? Didn't our upbringing teach her to care for her servants? I guess her pride got the better of her, she wanted to become the raiding game champion, and look what has happened to her, she made a series of mistakes, and now, she has nothing left. Serafol responded with a sigh, Riaz is only getting worse and worse as the days pass by. And soon she will have nothing left, no respect, nothing. That girl, she needs to move on. Making mistakes is natural, even for a god, but if you don't learn from them, there is nothing you can do, right, Zeus? Auden spoke, turning to Zeus, who could only grumble, remembering the series of mistakes he made, as he spoke. No need to remind me, I haven't been cheating on Hera from the past 2 centuries. That's good to hear. Auden spoke with a chuckle, as Yusaka looked at Issei and Juniper happily chatting, with Hikari often stepping in, causing the two to playfully duke it out, acting like little girls, causing Issei, Willow and An to stop them from accidentally destroying the room. You two need to realize that you aren't kids. Willow spoke with a tone of annoyance, as the duo apologized for taking it too far. Yusaka watched it all, and couldn't help but feel her heart in pain, seeing how Issei cared for his current wife. Kunu noticed her mother's expression, as she asked. Mother. Oh, sorry for zoning out, Kunu. Yusaka snapped out of her trance, as she spoke. It's nothing. Mother. Do you think Issei cares for us? Kunu asked, seeing on how he is a parent to the Arc sisters, as Yusaka responded. Of course he does, but right now, he is father himself. He needs to take care of his own 8 children. And besides, seeing him happy makes me happy too. Yusaka watched the scene with a sad smile, she was happy for Issei, but a part of her wished it was her instead of Juniper, but she knows she may never get the chance. She didn't confess to him back then, afraid of being rejected, and due to Issei's bad mental state because of the breakup, she chose to wait. His death really broke her heart, and she lost the second person she fell for. The first one betrayed her, and the second one passed away in her eyes. She was alone, with her daughter to keep her company, and when it was shown that he was alive and well and married with 8 children, her heart sank even more. But she was happy for him, seeing him this happy and better made her really happy. Scene change. Battle of Sarah Simulation, Angel Heart Stadium, 10 p.m. The fallen angels were clashing against Himeko, who was rapidly dodging against the light spears, responding with small bursts of flames, narrowly dodging the attacks. As she spoke. "Nice try, boys, let's see what else you have got." Himeko leaped in the air and coated herself with flames, unleashing a powerful sword strike using the attacks. She then looked at Violet and Scarlet, who were unleashing a powerful magic spell, with Violet having hers in a debuffing portion. Himeko then shouted. "Now." The girls threw their attacks, with Scarlet unleashing a powerful nuclear elemental magic spell, as Violet followed it by throwing a portion on herself and the other to the two fallen angels, causing them to take poison damage, making them grit their teeth in pain. The nuclear elemental magic blast sent them flying a few distance. Himeko acted quickly as she dashed forward, unleashing a burst of electricity. She soon slashed the fallen angels, unleashing a swarm of flames taking them out completely. The green light soon glowed as Ajuka spoke up. Two of the members of Barakiel's team are taken out, leaving it to the last man. It was indeed a spectacular combination of teamwork from both the team members. A close call could have eliminated John right from the start, effectively ending the fight for the rest of his team, but regardless, they recovered, leaving behind nothing but the destruction of the opposing team. Now only Barakiel is left. Ajuka then responded to Tiamat's words as he spoke. Indeed, they managed to confine him, and it was iron-blooded sacrifice that got John out, and with Atami helping him, they managed to save him, but the result took down the two from the match. Quite effective, I guess the match showed on how their team operates, huh? Interesting. Tiamat spoke in response, with a slight mocking tone. She knew she couldn't attack Drake in any manner physically or his current host, so she can do so in this manner. The statement angered John and his team, as Himeko grumbled at how the Dragon King was downplaying their sacrifices as team mentality, mocking them at every step. It was no wonder Drake wasn't a fan of Tiamat, especially after he met his future mate from the Dragon Kingdom. However, she took a deep breath to calm herself down as she looked at her two teammates and spoke. "Good work, both of you." Himeko complimented the duo, who only turned to Himeko before looking at each other and turning their gazes away. Himeko looked at this and sighed. "Girls, you both agreed to put your differences aside, right?" Scarlet and Violet were still at odds with each other. Himeko could only watch this and shake her head. Ever since Scarlet and John became close, things have only become even worse between the two. She had destroyed 6 objects, and only one was left for victory, while the other team needed to destroy 2 of them. However, Himeko knows that things between Scarlet and Milano are even worse than Scarlet and Violet and are becoming even more worse. Back with John, he was clashing against Barakiel, who was on the edge. He clearly was stronger than the fallen cadre, as Barakiel threw some more spears only for John to avoid them by using his draconic wings. Bringing out his sword, Ascalon X, which was a variation of the original Ascalon that his father wielded. Dashing forward, he kept clashing against Barakiel, who was staggering behind. John was quick and precise, landing several strikes with ease, who was blocking it with his light spear. John knew that Barakiel had centuries of experience over him anytime. He was able to deflect any strike thrown at him. One strike went straight through the spear, almost slicing Barakiel in half, which he evaded by pushing his head back. Nice swordsmanship skills, young John. Barakiel twirled his spear as he unleashed a barrage of light spears at him, much to his surprise at how quickly he generated them. He then commanded them to strike, as John unleashed a force field which stopped the light spears dead in the tracks. This was one of the abilities that Ascalon X can perform. He soon dashed forward, making a battle cry, striking Barakiel in the head and pushing him back as he quickly twirled his blade in a circular motion, unleashing a strong whirlwind, which caused Barakiel to stand his ground, trying to avoid it. John soon unleashed bolts of lightning at him, which he blocked with a magic circle. John shook his blade and spoke. "Thanks, Cadre Barakiel." Barakiel gave a nod. This was really Issei's boy. He then flew up in the air and unleashed a barrage of holy lightning, as John did the same with Ascalon X. He soon leaped in the air and used draconic flames, as Barakiel barely dodged the attack. He knew that he couldn't keep up with John for much longer. He had to finish this quickly. John only needed to destroy the final object and he would win, and Barakiel's whole task was to prevent it. John dashed forward and used Slash Beam with Ascalon X, triggering an eruption which forced Barakiel to back away. John saw this opportunity and used another ability, which was Portal Creation of Ascalon X, and teleported to the location as he unleashed flames from multiple portals, causing Barakiel to struggle in blocking them. He managed to create an all-round barrier to protect himself from the flame storm that threatened to burn him alive. John smirked from a hidden location. He then used the strongest ability of Ascalon X, which was reality warping, as he threw the sword into a portal inside the barrier and stabbed Barakiel in the stomach, making him cough up. The window soon opened up for a moment, causing the flames to strike him, causing him to shout in pain. John acted quickly, looking at the object as he used telekinesis and threw a huge boulder at the object, destroying it completely. The dust settled, revealing Barakiel, who tanked the hit completely. John was surprised again, his durability was much stronger than anyone from the Four Kingdoms. He soon looked at the final object being broken, as Barakiel knew what this meant. This was a loss in battle, as explosions were heard, with many cheering for the Arcadians. Even those from the VIP room, especially John's family, were doing the same, but louder, as Ajuka spoke. This was an amazing match between Team 1-5 and Team Lightning. Both teams performed spectacularly. And it was truly an amazing match between both of the teams, displaying proficient coordination and amazing cooperation. Tiamat, would you like to have some words? Tiamat responded by dropping a slightly snide remark as she spoke. Indeed, as expected from an Arcadian, I am not surprised by their capabilities, but I wonder if there are more or if that is it. Ajuka then responded, trying to de-escalate the situation, speaking. There will be more, Tiamat, but for that we must be patient. John had a scowl on his face, but he shook his head as he had a feeling that she would say this. He remembered Drake informing that Tiamat still hates him and any hosts. However, his thoughts were snapped out by Barakiel, who responded. Young John. John turned to see Barakiel as he spoke. Mr. Barakiel. Good match, you are quite capable in fighting. Who trained you in your fighting? John responded to Barakiel with a smile. My dad did. He believed in me when Nicholas refused to believe in me and tried to convince the others to not train me. The others still trained me regardless. His training was harsh, but that is what made me who I am today. I see. Barakiel spoke with a normal tone as he continued. If only Akeno didn't betray him, I feel like I failed as a father. It is not your fault, Mr. Barakiel, you needn't blame yourself. If anything, Akeno should realize that she has lost him. She needs to see her faults, and the less she hangs out with Rias, the better. Barakiel could only give a nod to John's words. He figured this was the side he gained from his mother, since Issei would rarely say harsh words. His aggressive side was from his mother, or a bit was from his mother. I see, thank you, young John. Both men shook their hands, as the people in the crowds cheered for them even more. Scene change. Hospital room, Underworld, 11 p.m. Rias was watching the match with anger in her eyes. There was no way she could beat any of these Arcadians. She was even more terrified that her pawn was going away from her side day by day. That damned blonde. Rias cursed, while clenching the bed sheets with anger. She was unaware that the man she was messing with was Issei's son. She refused to believe that Issei had children in any manner. Rias, what should we do? Rias turned to see Akeno. Even she was not happy with the match outcome and her father's loss against someone that was way younger. As she spoke, we will find a way to beat them. I believe we have another match, right? Akeno gave a nod as Rias responded. Then we will train harder and beat our new opponent. We won't lose this time and gain some of our reputation back. Those in Ria's peerage agreed to do so, while Roswas remained silent, unable to see on how they will win, since they barely train at all, almost never in their life. They could have easily turned their life around in the past 3 years, but they barely did anything. Scene change. Issei's room, Hyoudou residence, 11:30 p.m. The group had returned home, while John and his team celebrated their first victory in the Azazel Cup by drinking the night out. Although Mickey asked John to return by midnight or max at 1 a.m., which John agreed to do so without hesitation. Issei was in his study room working on something, as Juniper was in her room, alone. She was in her pajamas as Mary entered in the room, as she spoke. Juniper, you free? Yay, I am, what's the matter? Juniper responded with a smile, as she looked at her with Mary speaking. Can I ask you something? Juniper gave a nod and spoke. Do you think I am fit for being the Gakai Yellow? Juniper lost her smile and looked down, remembering the fateful day she deemed herself as a failure of being a ranger. Mary sat beside her sister-in-law and spoke. I heard from Hikari on why you left the team. What Niziello did to you and those people. So you've heard. Huh? Juniper gave a sad chuckle as she continued. I think you would be a better fit to be a ranger than me. But why? Why me? It is not your fault. Juniper shook her head and spoke. It is, that is why I refused to be a ranger. I was the only one that couldn't stop that bitch on time. Worse, she gloated at my failures. She got the upper hand against me, and it costed them. Those innocent people, those children. It is all my fault they died. Juniper exclaimed the last part sadly as she tried to control her tears. Despite her team telling her that it wasn't her fault, she believed so and blamed herself for that as Mary spoke. It isn't your fault. You can't save everyone. I know, but still. I had the power to save them and I failed. I must be so pathetic, right? Mary shook her head and spoke. You aren't pathetic, Juniper. Think of the good you have done, Juniper. Juniper looked at her sister-in-law with tears in her eyes as she continued. You managed to work together being a ranger longer than I ever did. The lives you saved across the galaxy working together as a team. I can't even reach that level. We all screw up at some point in our lives, and I did blame myself for letting my little brother die, even if it wasn't my fault. We can't do everything right, not everything goes according to what you want. You make mistakes, but you learn from them. That is how my life went as well. You trust the wrong person, and they betray you. But there is nothing that can be done. Some things are out of our control. As much as we hate it, we got to accept it and move on. Juniper looked at Mary as she wiped her tears. She then spoke with a sigh and a normal smile. I see. I guess you are right, but I am not sure if I can forgive myself yet for their deaths. Juniper looked at her, and Mary gave a nod. It took her 3.5 years to forgive herself for not being able to save Issei, and she didn't blame herself for that. Speaking of which, have you seen Issei? He should be back in his room by now. Mary looked at her and responded. I saw him in the study room. He seemed to be working on the system. I don't know what he is doing. I should probably get him to bed. Tomorrow is an important meeting with the factions. Juniper got up and headed outside, with Mary following suit as she headed to her room to rest for the day as well. While heading to the room, she saw Issei on the system as she spoke. Issei, you do know we have a meeting in the morning, right? Oh right, just give me a moment, I am almost done with it. Juniper was surprised what he was doing. She looked at his screen and was surprised to see the shop system. He seemed to be downloading something into his system. She then asked, seeing this. Ice, what are you doing? Juniper asked, to which Issei spoke. Just watch, soon it will be done, and you are in for a surprise. Juniper seemed interested as she watched the data transfer happen. Soon enough a notification appeared. 100% complete. Transfer of new morphers complete. Wait, new morphers? Issei, what is this? Issei only gave a smile as he commanded the system and transferred the system and commanded it to be sent here. Soon greenish binary data was summoned, as soon 3 devices came into the fray, which looked completely different from Gakkai Mobilates and Gakkai Cellular. They were 3 wrist-worn devices that resembled a wristwatch. It features a round central dial with a digital displayer pattern surrounded by metallic blue and silver accents. The device has a black strap, making it look like a wrist-mounted tool. On the side, there is a small cylindrical attachment, possibly a switcher activator. Juniper looked in surprise by what she was witnessing. It's time for a new Sentai team to make its debut in Arcadia, let's just say. Our enemies won't have to fear the Gakagers, for another team will show up. Juniper looked in complete surprise. She was surprised to see another morpher set on the table. Guess another Sentai team will show up. And the Black Arms and the Alliance of Hell will have to deal with them as well. Wait, don't we have the 6 Sentai or any other extra rangers for this? Issei looked at the system and it responded. The last 2 morphers should be developed by tomorrow. Activate the system at 7 PM to get them. So we have 5 morphers in the set, correct? Issei gave a nod and spoke. Apparently the shop called it Morph Embrace. It seemed to be from the Sentai Takume Sentai Go Busters, a Sentai which we haven't unlocked yet. Juniper gave a nod as Issei took the 3 morphers and kept it in a pocket dimension so that no one could get access to them. She then spoke. Then I guess we should keep it safely once we get it and choose candidates for them. We should do that tomorrow and think on who should we choose. Issei gave a nod in response and got up as the couple headed to bed to rest for the day, since today was quite the eventful day for them and a lot of things happened today. The next day. Haidu residence, Kuo, 6:30 AM. Juniper was the first to wake up. She looked at Issei with a sleepy look, who had inserted himself into her breasts. She looked at him and gave a smile, remembering the day they had fallen in love. She pulled him closer, speaking. Meeting you was the best thing to have happened to my life. Juniper gently rubbed his head, remembering the fateful day on when they fell in love. That day showed Juniper about his past and was the first person to have truly accepted him despite his perversion. A small frown grew on her face, remembering Rainer, the person that had betrayed and deceived Issei. If that Folan was alive, she would have ripped her wings apart and tormented her to the point where she would regret even thinking of loving and manipulating anyone. Since in Juniper's eyes, she deserves no one that would love her. Flashback. 32 years ago. Unknown planet, middle of the galaxy. It had been 3 years since Issei had been in Arcadia. He had completed his studies and joined the army. He had become the warrant officer of the army in just his 1.5 years of joining the military. His quick strategy, leadership skills, fearless charges and precise skills in the war made him rise up the ranks in a rapid manner. After his promotion, Juniper secretly took him out on a ride in one of the most enjoyable planets for celebration. She was of course joined by Willow, who was saved from her madness and redeemed herself and ran. But a sudden ambush by some of the enemy ships sent by Carmilla for revenge, primarily against Issei for screwing up her plans and almost beating her to near death due to an incident, caused them to crash and land up in an unknown planet. Issei looked at the ship and responded. Welp, so much for our vacation. Issei gave a sigh, watching at the burning ship. Juniper looked at it and shook her head. She did set up the Arcadian signal system to pick them up, but how, that is something they would need to wait. We can still have a vacation here. Juniper spoke with a smile, as she continued. The jungle doesn't look half bad. Juniper looked at the jungle of the planet that seemed to be mystical in nature, with several trees and glowing fields. Issei could only shake his head and respond. Really? Issei responded as he walked forward, to which Juniper spoke with a sigh. Come on Ice, don't be a spoilsport. Juniper leaped in the tree. It was not hard for someone that had dragon and elven blood running inside her veins, which allowed her to leap around with ease akin to an ape. She soon exclaimed. Follow me. Juniper started to laugh around, leaping from tree to tree, as Issei only responded, seeing her enjoyment. Drake, boost my legs, so that I can catch up with her. Drake responded with a normal tone. Sure, you can count on it. The legs were boosted as he leaped in the air, following her as well. It took him a few seconds to do it, as they kept leaping on trees. However, soon Juniper suddenly stopped, with Issei soon doing so. Why did you stop? Issei asked, to which Juniper spoke. Issei, does this place seem weird? Issei looked at the tree formations and did seem off in this place. Issei walked towards her and spoke. Maybe, it's your imagination that is weird. It could be something that this planet is known for. After all, this planet wasn't in one of the databases. Could be. But unless we find out more on it, there is no harm in looking further. Issei retorted in response. He felt like this was a bad idea. He then spoke. But the signal. Oh, it will come, plus it'd be pretty boring if we just stayed here. Issei could only shake his head, as Juniper responded. Come on, don't be a spoilsport, join me. Might as well explore these ruins. Issei shrugged and followed her into the ruins, as Juniper kept walking further and further in. Issei could only follow her, looking around, wherever she went. She kept climbing trees with her strength and agility, while Issei did the same, following her wherever she went. Eventually they came across a very peculiar location that seemed to be an entrance of a lost city. Issei then spoke. Well, this is something, you don't find a lost city every day. Tell me about it. This seemed to be an entrance of a temple of an ancient city or civilization that existed here. Issei looked at her and responded. You aren't planning to explore this, are you? You bet I am. Come on. Issei stopped her by grabbing her shoulder and responded. There could be traps. We shouldn't risk our lives for this. Oh come on, where is the fun in this? Issei looked at her and groaned, only for him to speak. Fine, but I am coming too. Juniper gave a wider smile as she spoke. See, it's fun, better than any party I planned. Cause this one is fun for me. Juniper and Issei walked inside the lost city ruins as he spoke. I guess you aren't like many princesses, are you? You often love to roam around and not remain like other princesses who prefer to stay hidden in their castles, not going for such expeditions unless accompanied by a small army or something. Juniper only gave a chuckle and responded. Where have you seen such princesses? Your homeworld television. You could say that, but I did meet certain princesses from my homeworld. Trust me, they don't go around with their army. Issei spoke, referencing his world's devil princesses, primarily Riaz and her peerage, as well as some other devils like Sikvera or even Sona Citri. Juniper then spoke. I guess, but here I was pushed to my limits. Being the future Empress does put some work in me. I can't just expect the Royal Guard or the Praetorian Guards to protect me and handle all my work. I gotta defend myself, and you know how strong I am, right? Issei gave a nod, as this woman can handle herself in his balance breaker, almost tied against him. She can even push him to his Dragon King mode and clash against him, although she would lose, that didn't stop her from pushing it. Issei had secretly gotten a quest to now explore the ruins. Although Juniper couldn't see it back then, since she wasn't completely trusted by him. He accepted the quest and moved ahead. Yep, you are. But I don't understand, why do you want to beat all of us and become the top? Juniper remained silent and responded after a while. You know how Willow became evil by that orange-haired bitch Carmilla, right? She almost destroyed us, right? Yeah. It took all three of us to bring her in without killing her. Issei responded as he continued. But that is not the reason, right? Yeah, I was jealous. Jealous on how both you and Willow kept going stronger than me at every step. I couldn't keep up with the two of you, that is why I kept pestering you for a fight often. Juniper spoke sadly as he spoke. Jealous of me? Correct, you always had a reason to push to fight, and yours is better than mine. Juniper held her hand to her chest and placed it in next to her chest. Issei then asked. Better than mine? Juniper responded, turning around to him. Yes, yours is better than mine. You wish to go back home, right? Meet your mom, dad and older sister. I only want to get stronger to be a strong leader and an amazing empress, someone too for Arcadia to look up to once I get ready. It is kind of a selfish reason. Issei shook his head and responded with a normal tone. I don't think so, it is quite the contrary for becoming strong. It is selfless, mine could be classified as selfish to some extent. Issei continued and responded. I do plan on leaving the friends here once I head back home, isn't that selfish? Nope, you are doing this for family. If there is an arc cherishes and protects, it is family. You value your family, right? Issei gave a nod as she spoke. Then it is nothing wrong with that. Plus, you wish to go home, staying in a foreign planet with no way to get home can affect you a lot. I can only imagine what would be going through your family's head with you being missing for years. Issei only remained silent as he gave a nod. The duo kept walking ahead as Juniper wanted to ask his aversion towards being in the same room as they did. They were friends and part of the same squad, which was first-class soldier. As she did so. Issei, may I ask you something? Go on. Juniper looked at Issei and asked. May I ask why you are afraid of sleeping in the same room as us? I mean, we are sleeping on different beds, so why? Issei flinched and became nervous. Juniper could see his hands shaking, which made her really concerned. She stopped in her tracks as she spoke. Issei. I don't want to talk about it. Issei started to walk forward as Juniper spoke. But. I said. No. Issei demanded. With a cold tone as he walked forward. Juniper flinched upon hearing this as he walked forward. Juniper only followed suit, wondering why Issei was so afraid of talking about some aspects of his past. She could only solemnly walk ahead. Some time had passed as the duo continued to walk ahead, entering a cavern system. They kept traversing through the place, with many entrances and other pathways being present, but Issei only stopped for a few seconds before choosing a different pathway, as she asked. You seem to know this place, don't you? No, I really don't actually. Juniper shook his head as she spoke. I mean, the way you are walking, it seemed like you are well versed with this place. No, I honestly don't know where I am going. It feels like I am being guided to a different location. I don't know how, but it feels like someone is pulling me to a different location. Juniper gave a nod, wondering what might it be. She had an idea, but she shook her head in doubt. There was no way someone that doesn't have arc blood could be chosen as a dominant for an icon. He continued to walk forward, eventually stopping at the edge of what seemed to be the end of the cave. It was a ruined city where they were standing across. Holy. Issei spoke as Juniper continued. Shit! Exclamation mark. Drake ended from the boosted gear as they continued to walk ahead, looking around, seeing the place. This is almost like a lost civilization we see in stories. Issei responded as Juniper mused in response. My guess, a war must have destroyed this place completely. Judging by the landscape, it seems that way. Juniper crouched on the ground, trying to judge the place. Juniper touched the soil, feeling its texture. It brought a shiver to her spine. It feels empty. So lonely. So deserted. So devoid. Issei walked to her as he asked. You okay? Why yeah, I am fine. Juniper spoke up, dropping the soil. Issei wondered what in Aum's name happened in this place. He touched a pillar, feeling the coldness of this place. It seems like this place hasn't been visited for centuries, no, almost a millennia. They walked ahead, only to end up near a wall that had an inscription on it. However, the language was not of anything the duo were familiar with. Issei, on the other hand, remembered that the dragons of his world can understand and read any language, but he wondered if it would work for this as well. However, to his surprise, he was able to read it after a while. It wasn't the way he normally read it given his powers, but it felt like something wanted him to read it. He looked at her and responded. I seem to be able to read it. You can? Juniper asked with a tone of surprise. How can you read it? I just can, I don't know how and why, but I can. Believe me. Juniper crossed her arms and responded. Then what does it say? It says this. Issei spoke, reading out aloud. Those who can't confront their pasts are doomed to repeat it. No matter how hard they prevent it. Juniper was confused upon this. She didn't understand why this quote was stated on the wall. Maybe it is meant for the people that ended up dying in this place. After all, it is a lost civilization, and they must have done something destructive and catastrophic to have ended up like this. Issei, on the other hand, knew exactly what this quote meant. It was meant for him trusting and believing the wrong people. Loving and having faith in the wrong people time after time made it hard for him to love anyone ever again. They all stabbed him in their betrayal, one being quite literal than the others. He remembered two particular individuals that he wouldn't forgive no matter what happens, that being Rainer and Riaz. This quote. I think it is for me. Juniper looked at him stunned. She seemed pale by what she is hearing as she asked. What do you say? Suddenly started to hold his head and feel dizzy as he soon fell to the ground. Juniper rushed to him, her voice calling out to him in desperation and fear as she spoke. Issei. Issei. Drake, what happened? Drake looked at her and responded. He is living his memories, my guess. It is the traumatic ones where he often used to avoid sleeping in the same dorm room as you. Wait, why would he have fear of women? I mean, it is always women. Why us? And what happened to him in his homeworld? Drake stayed silent in response, causing Juniper to get more agitated speaking. Speak up, Drake, what happened? How about you see for yourself? Drake spoke in response, as Juniper was seemingly dragged inside of his memory. She wanted to see what happened that caused his immense fear to begin with. Juniper soon collapsed, with her body being knocked out near Issei. Scene change. Issei's mindscape. Juniper was taken inside the mindscape where she looked around to see a dragon with the appearance of a large red western dragon, with a long neck and green eyes. He also has red and golden spikes throughout his body. Wait, Drake. Juniper looked at the gigantic dragon, as he spoke. Yes, that is me. I see, so what are we seeing? Drake thought for a moment, as he continued. His past, starting from the very beginning. Since everything is being revealed, I might as well tell you that my partner was once a perverted teenager that had a thing for boobs. He often used to pick on the girls in school, primarily the kendo club, and in response, they used to beat him. However, it was two of his human buddies that did this. Juniper was taken aback by this revelation. She never thought Issei was like this. Despite this, she knew there was more to his story than what she heard. She watched him head to a date and was surprised by the decency he had got to dress up well for his date. Not to mention, she remembered that Issei had gotten no complaints from any of his peers or his teachers, especially Hikari, who he had gotten quite close to, but never actually tried to ask her out, especially when the complaints involve peeking on his female peers. I am aware of your questions, but the fact that you never saw him peek was because he tried to change himself for his current relationships, to say the least. You will see one right now and… A call cuts off Drake, as it was meant for Issei. Issei. A woman's voice called out to him. This was Yuma Amano. She was an attractive young woman with violet eyes and a curvaceous, slender body. She had long, silky black hair that reached down to her hips. Wait, is she one of the relationships you are talking about, Drake? Juniper asked, seeing that Issei greeted her. She had earlier noticed someone give Issei a pamphlet, which she wondered what it was. She saw him date, as Drake responded. No, that woman. She is the first person that made him really afraid of love. The fallen angel betrayed him. You will see now. Juniper gave a nod as the scene changed to sunset and Issei was at the park. She watched Yuma approach Issei and speak the infamous words. Will you die for me? Juniper flinched upon hearing this. She could see Issei being confused. Taking a look at Drake, she could see the Welsh dragon was furious at her. She could see the woman transform into a more mature version of herself, now having two wings coming from her back. Juniper recognized to be angelic wings, which Drake did state she was a fallen angel. I will explain on who she is. The woman is Rainer, former fallen angel of Gregory. I saw former because she left Gregory to do what she did. She decided to toy with my partner's emotions, killing him for the sacred gear, something he wasn't even aware that he had. Drake explained with anger, as Juniper watched something startling and truly horrifying. She witnessed Rainer throw a light spear aimed straight at his abdomen, making him cough up blood. Issei dropped to the ground dead as she spoke. If you want to blame someone, blame the dead god for giving you the sacred gear. Issei's state was bad, he was bleeding profusely from his abdomen area. Juniper rushed to help but was stopped by Drake with him speaking. There is nothing you can do, this is a memory. He is not actually injured. Juniper nodded as she watched a red-haired woman save him. Drake explained to her that was Ria's as she watched everything that belonged to Issei's life, his achievements, how his family looked and everything. On how he fought literal gods, godlike and other beings, while part of the GREMORY peerage, and despite his losses, he never gave up any of his fights. He continued to fight even more. Juniper watched with amazement on what kind of a man Issei really is. Despite being a pervert, he is someone that would fight for them till the very end. She then saw something that truly shocked her. It was the fateful scene when the girls that he had a relationship with broke off from him. Issei was walking to the Orc Club room. RageRevan had already been killed courtesy of Fafnir, and with him defeated the Cows Brigade had fallen apart. They could finally settle down, while Issei planned to finish his high school studies, settle in a good college, and marry his current harem, which comprised of the following. Riaz, Akeno, Kaneko, Kuroka, Roswis, Ravel, Asia, Zenobia and Irina. He soon entered where he was greeted by all the members of the Occult Research Club. However, what surprised him the most was some members were absent. Hey girls. You wish to talk? Issei noticed Hyoudou, Kunu, Tosca, Lefei and Gasper missing as well. They must be working with something. Issei couldn't help but have a bad feeling about what was going to happen. He could see the seriousness in their eyes and knew something was up. Tell me, is it about the Klepeth? Are they making a comeback? I thought we had already dealt with any and all threats related to the Klepeth. Issei spoke with a tone of surprise as Roswis responded, that is not it, Hyoudou. Roswa spoke with a cold tone as she responded. We need to talk about your latest antics, especially of your perversion. It is getting out of hand. What do you mean? I have not peaked at all since the time I was in a relationship with Riaz and eventually the rest of you as well. Issei nodded. He was also aware of the fact that Sona was genuinely surprised, and seeing as to she was absent meant something was wrong, even Junshiro and the rest of the student council. They even praised Issei for actively making the change and knew that he was doing it for Riaz and her sake. Yes, we know. But you still read those perverted magazines in public and even sometimes play those games. Riaz spoke coldly as Issei flinched. He had a feeling that things will only get worse from here on out. That is why we have all come with a collective conclusion. Akeno spoke as she continued. We have all decided to break up with you. Issei was left heartbroken, unable to believe what he had just heard. He knew that their relationship was going smoothly. But in reality, it was the polar opposite as Issei spoke with a shaky tone. Please tell me, this is a joke. Issei spoke with a shaky tone as Zenobia responded, I am afraid not, and to think I wanted children of a pervert like you disgust me. Irina spoke in agreement as she responded, Zenobia is right, I can't believe my childhood friend has become a lowly pervert. Irina's words only worsened Issei's state as he couldn't believe what she was saying. Newsflash perv, nobody here likes or cares for you. The other girls spoke in agreement as Issei spoke with a shaky tone. I see. Issei spoke with a worried tone as Roswas responded, the girls are correct, I was only your boyfriend to convince grandmother, I wouldn't mind if it was not for your perversion. Roswas spoke coldly as Asia continued, Issei-san, you are too much, your perversion is too much for me. Asia exclaimed as Ravel spoke sadly. I am sorry Issei, I can't do this anymore, your perversion is too much, even for me. Ravel exclaimed sadly. Issei could see from the tone that they weren't as spiteful as compared to the others, but regardless, they should almost be used to it. Sorry Naya, but this nature of yours is too much for me, as well. Kuroka spoke with her usual demeanor as he also noticed her being supportive of her sister. Issei couldn't help but clench her fists because of how hypocritical some of the women present here are, especially those that slept with him literally naked. So that is how it is. After everything I did for you, this is how I am repaid. Issei spoke coldly, almost wanting to tear these girls a new one as he spoke. I should have never helped any of you if this is how I am going to be repaid. Riaz looked at him and angrily and shouted. Why you? Oh shut up. Issei shouted in anger in his tone. Not a lot of people know this, but Issei rarely snaps, but when he does, it always ends in disaster, as he exclaimed looking at the girls, who were still stunned at his ferocity. Some were angry, while others were starting to get afraid. All of you listen up. I want to make this clear, I helped you all with your issues, marriage issues for a certain redhead, daddy issues for this hybrid, the mess in their lives of the two Nekashu sisters that I had a hand in fixing, the nun who I literally gave a fucking home and spent my life protecting, the Valkyrie, who would have been used as someone's object to satisfy his own siskin tendencies, the slut from the church who wanted to make babies with me, along with the so-called angel, that was my sorry excuse of a childhood friend, and finally the fried chicken, I got nothing to say for you. Issei's words were filled with spite as he continued. But I am done helping any of you. You can go help yourselves from now on. Issei walked out of the room with anger in his eyes as Riaz tried to stop him only for Issei to slam the door. The girls were stunned by how cold and vindictive Issei can get, some were angry, while others were fearful, those that were grief-stricken were devastated by this. Riaz then spoke loud enough for Issei to hear. If he was not the Red Dragon Emperor, I would have never revived him. Riaz's words was the last straw that broke the camel's back as he clenched his fists in anger. He had to control himself, otherwise he would go Juggernaut drive. However, someone else also heard him and decided to talk to Surziches about this. Juniper watched the memory with complete anger as she was seething furiously. She wanted to rip them apart as she dashed forward and called out to them, speaking her words. You of all people shouldn't even say things to someone that helped with your problems. Juniper spoke with anger as she continued. None of you seem to value him in any manner. Who the hell do you think you are? Criticizing us. Riaz retorted with spite and anger, to which Juniper spoke. Someone who values what friendship is, you two-faced bitch. You are no one to judge us, you are. Juniper cuts her off speaking. Someone who has seen everything, you criticized your dear old father who couldn't save your mother. You are nothing but a selfish fallen whore and in reality no better than Rainer. You don't deserve someone like Issei, and I pity your father to deal with a whore of a daughter like you. Akeno was taken aback, to which she responded. How dare you? Akeno muttered with silence as she continued. And you Asia, you are the one that infuriated me the most. You are a selfish woman that used Issei and his family to give you a home and a place, you should be ashamed of yourself. For treating Issei like this, you damned witch. Asia was on the ground crying and weeping endlessly, to which Zenobia responded. Why you? Juniper gave a glare that made her shiver, backing her away with fear as she responded. Don't even get me started. On you Quarta. You can pray to God because of him, despite being a devil. But why did you join them? It matters not, Issei still forgave you for your actions, and this is how you repay him. You seem to be a power prostitute, and you don't deserve anyone's love. Zenobia was shaking and staggering in response, glaring at Juniper with fear as she looked to Irina, speaking. And you are the worst doing this to your childhood friend. I have nothing to say to you, I wish for you to fall, completely. Irina stayed silent, looking away from the group as Juniper gave a frustrated sigh and spoke. But I will be honest with you. If none of you wanted to be with him, why did you even be in a relationship with him? And even then, why didn't any of you come forward to actually address this issue, like seriously? Tell me, are you that stupid and brainless to not come forward and speak about this? Juniper's words were only received by them, giving them the silent treatment, earning a scowl from them as she spoke. Don't cry when he lives his life happily, none of you deserve him. The memory fades away as she looks at Drake, who gave a smile of proudness. Soon the memory changes to Issei, who had curled himself into a ball. She walked to him and spoke. Ice. Stay away. Juniper flinched upon this as he continued. What do you want? Juniper spoke as Issei continued, here to mock me for being a pervert like the others. No Ice. Juniper looked towards Issei, who cuts her off as he continued. No, go ahead, mock me for being a pervert who enjoyed women's bodies and who used to peep on girls changing. Mock me for the mistakes I had done just cause I was a horny teenager. Juniper remained speechless. She knew this to be true. She hated what Riaz and her peerage of sluts did to Issei. However, she detested what Rainer did to him. She saw how he was stabbed in the gut literally and left for dead, something she presumed Riaz must have taken advantage of. She wouldn't be surprised if this was true. Every time, just when I thought I found someone that would love me for who I am stabbed in the back. First Rainer, and then Riaz and those girls. They are all just the same. They used me for their own purposes, and when they saw it fit, they discarded me. Juniper remained speechless. She never thought that it would be this bad. Now everything made sense on why he always avoided sleeping in the same room as them, despite being teammates and part of one group. It was his fear of women and fear of falling in love, which started with Rainer and later with Riaz. Why don't you abandon me? Why don't you murder me? Everyone who has seen this side of me has either tormented me or has killed me. Why don't you do the same? Just leave me alone. You must be seeing me as nothing but a good-for-nothing pervert. Juniper was taken aback with tears in her eyes while muttering. Ice. I hate myself for being this blind in love. All those that heathens just saw me as a pawn for their own ends. Issei spoke as he brought out Ascalon and was ready to stab himself while shouting. I should have died a long time ago. No. Juniper shouted as she kicked the sword away. She could feel a small prick due to it being Dragon Slayer, since she avoided most of the blows, as Issei could only look with a stunned tone. His eyes were filled with despair. Juniper grabbed his hands and shouted. Never say that. You aren't going to kill yourself, you are better than that. Don't you ever say that, Issei. Juniper spoke with tears in her eyes. She hated what Issei was going through. Issei, on the other hand, was surprised by what he was seeing. This was the first time someone who was not his family was crying for him. Sure, they were friends, but they weren't that close, as lovers or something else. Why? Issei spoke with a lost tone as he continued. I am just a pathetic good-for-nothing pervert. No, you are not. I have seen you. For who you truly are, and those heathens, they don't deserve you, they don't deserve someone like you. Juniper spoke as she continued. You have always put others over yourself. Time after time you fought against those that would have killed you, even Rainer. Whenever you fought, you always fought for someone else. Even when it is your life is at risk, even when you died once, you still tried to save someone. You're a gem. Issei started to tear up, a bit before Juniper only gave a smile as she spoke. I will follow you to the ends of the earth. You mean a lot to me, and I don't want you to die. You have a lot to live for. Let me be another of those people. Issei could only look at her. This was the words he wanted to hear. He wanted to hear the words that someone always wanted to speak to him. Neither did Riaz nor did any of all the girls did so. Hell, even Rainer never actually spoke those words during their date. He started to cry upon hearing this as Juniper pulled him into her chest while speaking. Let it out. Ice. Issei cried onto her chest as she embraced him even tighter. She then thought, you deserve someone that truly loves you. I am not sure if I am the one though, but you do deserve someone that loves you. Juniper and Issei stayed like this for a while. Until it was time to leave. Scene change. Ruins, unknown planet. Issei got up with a slight tear in his eye as he got up looking at Juniper's unconscious state and spoke. Partner, might I speak something? Issei looked at his sacred gear and spoke. Go on, Drag. This Dragoness seems to care for you. And I don't think you should be fearful of telling her your fears to her. Issei looked at her and spoke. I guess I can trust her. She never rejected me, but I am scared Ria's left me knowing it, what if she does? Plus her status of being a future empress may hurt her. Drake huffed in slight annoyance as he gave his words. No Issei, she is not like Ria's. I've seen it time after time. She is different, it is clear she cares for you, more than many. She was the first to suggest celebrating your successes and enjoyed being with you. Give it a chance, you won't regret it, trust me on this one, cause dragons unlike devils are loyal when it comes to partners, and you won't regret it. It's your call partner, and I believe you will make the right one. And this time, I know you will not screw up. Drake cuts off the call as Issei looks at her and speaks. Would you love me? Would anyone love a pervert like me? Juniper soon gets up and speaks with worry. Ice, are you okay? I am fine, but you. Juniper hushes him, keeping her hand on her mouth. It's alright, I am not hating you for your past. You deserve someone that truly loves you. Juniper embraces him, but this was more of a loving one, she then spoke. And it's alright, take your time to recover. I am fine with it. Issei's hands were shaking, it was clear that there was fear still present in his hands. Juniper felt that he was not hugging and could sense his hands shaking. She understood one thing, the damage was too severe for just suddenly to overcome. She would need to give it time, and that is what she will do. She will help him recover and become happy. They knew each other for 3 years at this point, and Juniper knew that Issei is not the type to harm her in any way. He helped her recover Willow, and once again reunite with the rest of their team. He was also chosen to lead the first-class soldier, thanks to Draco Arc, the then Supreme General of Arcadia, long before Jean Arc took his place. They trusted him a lot due to their friendship long before Issei joined the army. And Juniper did start developing feelings for him, but was in constant denial about them. To top it all off, Issei often showed fear of staying in the same room as they did. This caused her to back away and decide to help him be friendly with them, as slowly and steadily he started to eat on the same table as they did. They soon split up and Issei speaks. Thank you, Juniper. It's alright, I am aware of your fear, take your time and let's get a move on. Issei gave a nod as the duo headed ahead. They walked together until they entered a dark room when all of a sudden, bam! The entrance closed off, shocking the two. In a dark room, they used flame magic to light up the surroundings. Suddenly the lights were coming on, catching the two off guard as a giant automaton was right in front of them. It seemed to be a monster that had sort of a flame emitting inside of it. It had goldenish armor with two eye-like things coming from it. It was ready to attack the duo. What the hell? An automaton? Juniper exclaimed as it soon roared in response. Issei then spoke. We need to find a way to beat this thing or get out of here. The future empress gave a nod as it unleashed a beam blast at the group, both successfully dodging the attacks. Issei entered into his Crimson King armor and fired a barrage of his own laser beams towards it. Juniper strike the joints, I will keep this thing occupied. Juniper gave a nod, bringing out a spear and dashed forward. She soon struck down the automaton, causing it to stagger as the beam blast struck it once again, sending it flying. Issei soon dissolved the cannons on his body and responded. I don't think this automaton I have seen in Arcadia. The automaton soon recovered, leaping in the air with speeds faster than what Issei had anticipated, since despite its size, it was extremely fast and unleashed a shockwave that caused the ground to erupt and send them staggering. Juniper acted quickly, using her elven agility to leap around the broken debris and cracks, preventing herself from being tripped, and struck it with her spear aimed at its chest. Now. Issei dashed forward, bringing out Ascalon, and slashed it at the flame, causing the automaton to stagger. However, that was far from done. As the automaton decided to explode on their faces, causing them to be sent flying. Juniper was met with bruises and injuries, while some of Issei's faceplate was broken, revealing his face. The automaton was revealed to be standing, unaffected and taller, as it started to unleash a mortar of energy beams aimed towards every single direction, forcing the duo to defend rather than attack. Damn it. If this keeps up, we will be done for. Issei gave a note, pushing forward using all of his expendable strength to assist Juniper in the barrier generation, while finding a way to take down the automaton. This went on for hours, as the automaton seemed to have limitless power, however neither seemed to give up. When suddenly, Juniper started to fall to her knees as Issei rushed to her, speaking. Juniper. I am fine. Juniper was breathing heavily as drops of sweat could be seen on her face. I need a breather, then I can once again defend it. The bombardment has to stop sometime. But before Juniper could continue, the barrier broke as the bombardment was unleashed from the front direction, while rocks were falling from a different direction. Issei instinctively stood in front and pushed her from behind, all the while Juniper could only scream helplessly. When all of a sudden time stopped around them. He looked around and heard an unknown voice. Do you wish to protect her? I do. But who is speaking? Issei turned around to see a giant king knight with several knights beside him. We are speaking, we are the Knights of Round, the icon of steel. So we ask you this yet again. The knight spoke with a tone reverberating across the entire battle. He could see Juniper's shocked face and opened, screaming mouth as well as the automaton still attacking them. Do you wish to protect her? Issei gave a nod speaking in response. I do, I wish to protect her and those I care about. Issei responded as the multiple voices spoke again. Then raise your sword and lead, become the emperor that you are destined to be. Show them your might and lay your enemies down with a fight. Issei did what he was asked, despite being perturbed by bad rhymes, he still went on with it. Soon enough, a massive glow surrounded Issei, and the knight soon went inside of him. Time resumed back to normal, as Juniper fell to the ground, her last view was seeing Issei push her to protect her. She saw him raising his sword, as she looked in worry. Hoping that he was alright. Issei. Soon enough, instead of Issei, there were multiple figures looking at the automaton, as Juniper muttered in shock and amazement. No way, Issei is a dominant. Impossible. Juniper muttered to herself. She walked to Issei asking. Is that you? Yeah, it's me. I just don't know what happened to me. Issei spoke with a shocked tone, however to Juniper it felt like all the knights were speaking from Issei's voice, as two knights immediately restrained the automaton making it struggle, as he continued. The automaton called itself the Icon of Steel, granting me this form. Then, I became the Knights of the Round. Would you tell me what happened? Juniper gave a smile to him and spoke. Simple, the icon chose you to be its wielder, this should have been expected. I am amazed that someone with a non-arc blood became a wielder, anyways we can discuss this later, for now, let's end him. Issei nodded, to which he soon teleported right in front of it and released a massive amount of aura pushing it behind. He soon placed the Ascalon, which was a giant sword right now. Juniper joined in, entering into her own icon Alexander, which was a tall golden humanoid with dark blue accents, almost looking like a mech. This here is the primed form of Juniper Arc, who is the dominant of the icon of light, Alexander. Suddenly several crystals surrounded which started to explode in a bright light generating a barrier. The automaton kept charging at Issei, but every time it did, it fell back. Issei kept unleashing bursts of light magic at the automaton, making it unable to move. It tried to go after Juniper, but the light barrier behind was too strong. This went on for a while. Additionally during this, the 12 knights accompanying Issei also surrounded the automaton, making it unable to escape. They all had their weapons in the air. Once it was weakened, Issei removed out of his sword, as he commanded. Ready, warriors. The knights roared generating a binding light magic which froze the automaton in place. An ancient magic circle came behind him as Issei shouted witness, the ultimate end. Issei lunged the sword straight at the automaton, unleashing a bright beam of light towards Juniper, who couldn't help but close her eyes. The barrier shattered into pieces. The light soon died down, as the automaton was ripped to pieces. Juniper recognized the move. Ultimate End, a skill powerful enough to decimate continents, he truly was worthy of the icon. Juniper also unleashed a powerful yellow lasers from her hands at the same time, as fireballs transformed into the form of meteors and aimed it at the automaton completely destroying it. The automaton was gone, destroyed. Both of them were relieved that it was finally over, as Juniper spoke. To deactivate it, treat it like how you treated your armor. Issei gave a nod and returned to normal, as Issei suddenly started to stagger, as he sat down and responded with a groan. Aw man, the strain of using the icon the first time is really something. You should be happy, at the very least you managed to use the icon. But Juniper embraces him speaking in response. I am happy that you became a dominant, you are the first person that became a dominant. Since only those with the blood of an arc can do so. Wait, no one came before me? Juniper gave a nod speaking. HMMH. No one did. They stayed like this for a while, exhausted from the battle against the automaton. Soon enough the door opened, revealing a lot of treasure, Ragnarok, the ship that Issei currently pilots and many more things like the past of the place and its origin. Flashback ends present day. Hyoudou residence, Kuo, 7 AM. Juniper saw him with a smile, as Issei soon woke up as she noticed this and spoke. Good morning Ice. Morning. The couple split up as Issei spoke. So what's on your mind? Nothing much, we should probably get ready for work. Issei gave a nod as he decided to check the Gakkai Cellular's presence, but to his surprise, he found it missing, as he spoke with worry. Oh, this is not good. Why? What happened? Issei got up and responded. I can't feel the Silver Ranger key or the Gakkai Cellular, both are missing. What do you mean? This has to be a joke. Issei shook his head and spoke. I am afraid not. Issei opened a dimensional portal where he keeps the morphers and it disappeared from the location, as he continued. There is no way that they can get to it, the only people that know how to is you and me. Juniper and Issei grew worried. If the Silver Gakkai Ranger powers fell into the hands of the Black Arms, it could spell disaster, since they can have the Sentai powers of all 6th Rangers till date, and the 6th Ranger powers are often stated to be stronger than the standalone Ranger, and in some cases, can defeat entire teams of Rangers. Suddenly the system soon gave 2 quests to them. Quest: choose suitable candidates for the Morphin Braces, choose proper candidates to them. Rewards: 50,000, experience plus 60,000 lean plus new Gakkai change. Gobusters. Failure. Possible chance of theft by Carmilla Leichenberg. Legendary quest: identify the Silver Ranger and make him an ally, find a way to help him with his issues. Hint: Southeastern Asia, Arabian Sea. Rewards: 200,000, experience plus 500,000 lean plus 2 new Gakkai changes. Kyoryugers and Talkers plus new free morphers. Failure. The Silver Ranger can be captured by Carmilla and used for the Black Arms. The couple looked at the quests, shocking that they would gain access to 3 Sentai powers if they complete the quests. Juniper didn't show it, but felt slightly jealous seeing the Sentai she is going to miss out on. It's best we tell this to those who know about the cellular. But first we need to prepare for the meeting and the granting of the Gobuster morphers to the new team. Juniper gave a nod to Issei as the couple got ready. Juniper then asked in response, "Do you have candidates in mind?" Issei only looked at her and gave a smile, implying he does have 3 candidates in mind, knowing that they are going to have a new Sentai team very soon. The family was informed on the missing silver morpher, which was the Gakkai cellular. Causing many to grow worried, Bianca was the first to voice out her concerns. "Dad, how did the cellular go missing?" Bianca grew concerned for the morpher going missing. The silver morpher is stated to be one of the most powerful devices amongst the Gakkaigers, and it can access every 6th Ranger from the past, present, and future, as long as the Ranger key was given. I honestly don't really know, it was there with me yesterday night and it just disappeared, but that is not the only keys that had gone missing. The family grew concerned as Aqua asked. "Which ones?" Juniper answered for her. "The Dragon Ranger from Zyranger, Timefire from Time Ranger, and Aberkiller from Abranger." "Wait, those 3 are?" Aqua spoke, to which John responded. "They are some of the strongest 6th Ranger keys. If they fall into the wrong hands, then we would have a huge fight ahead, especially if Carmilla gets her hands on them." Bianca responded. The family was silent, knowing how much of a threat Carmilla is. Even Goro and Mickey were briefed on this, and both were horrified by how much of a problem Carmilla is. She was a major problem to her son and daughter-in-law for the past 20+ years. "Any clues on how we can recover them?" Jade asked too. But Issei spoke. "Yes, fortunately we can." A sigh of relief was heard from several of the family members as he explained. "Navi informed me that a man in silver will be found in India. That is our first clue. That bird's prediction is almost always accurate." Issei spoke in response as Jade spoke while responding. "That is where we run into a problem." "How so?" "India isn't even that big of a country." Violet Arc asked, to which Jade responded. "India may not be that big, but the population of the country is the most problematic, being the most populated country of the world. Locating that one person with the cellular could be a problem." "But Jade, shouldn't we be able to track the Sentai energy or morphing energy?" Saffron asked Jade. "The reason is, this was coined due to it being called a unified energy source that powers all the Sentai gadgets, weapons, power-ups, and even Megazords. This was due to every Sentai Ranger team being powered by a different energy, so Jade decided to term them as a singular energy to not make it more confusing. She called it the source of the morphin powers that allowed Sentai teams to morph using different types of energy, like bioparticles for Bioman or magic from Magiranger, to name a few. It is theoretically possible, but I am going to need some time to design something like that." Jade spoke, taking a glance towards Issei as he gave a nod, with him speaking. "That's fine, but the last thing we want is a Sentai part of the Black Arms and the Alliance of Hell." Jade gave a nod of understanding, being aware of it. Mary then spoke. "Well, even so, you can prevent him or her to morph, correct?" "True, but it's best to actually not underestimate Carmilla. She has done many impossible things. So if she finds a way to harness the Silver Ranger's powers, we will face a threat bigger than what we anticipated." The others nodded in agreement. The 6th Ranger powers of any Sentai were almost a wild card, unpredictable, and anything can happen. There was silence in the family as Issei spoke. "Well, we should probably get going. I do plan on bringing in a new Sentai team. Hopefully it would help us in the fight against the Black Arms." "You did?" "Dad, can you tell us what and who it is?" Rosemary asked, to which Issei responded. "Well, that is a spoiler, so you kids gotta wait till 12 p.m. for it." The kids could only pout in response as Issei spoke. "You will get a message at 11:30 sharp to 3 candidates I have chosen, and before you ask, it is a 3-man team, so keep your mobile devices ready." "Okay." They all nodded in agreement as they were curious on who is going to be chosen to be the 3 Sentai of the new team. Even Issei's parents were curious. Meeting room, Hyoudou household, 10:30 am. Issei was with the leaders, who were all in hologram form, and Vali Lucifer, as Surziches spoke. So did you find anything, Ice-kun? Issei soon responded to them. Turns out they have grabbed Kuroka for their own purposes. I know for a fact that they are trying to make up super devils. Is it possible for them to make the super devils artificially? Surziches and Ajuka, who were present, looked at each other with shock, with many of them being horrified. Ajuka then spoke. I am unfamiliar with it, Your Highness. Creating artificially based super devils. That shouldn't be possible. But it is. Hades and Carmilla plan to do just that, don't take them for granted. Especially Carmilla, she has done the impossible in Arcadia, who is to say she cannot do it here. Plus, I'd say she would create something far worse, and she has done it in Arcadia. Juniper added her words, remembering the gas attacks that can kill any being, even an Arcadian dragon god. And the amount of bioweapons she had at her disposal that claimed many lives. She was the biggest threat in the Alliance of Hell. So what should we do? Shiva asked from his hologram, to which he continued. We can unleash a raid on the Black Harm's base. She will just escape, Lord Shiva, like she always does. That woman has evaded prosecution and capture for the past 20+ years, she will just be a headache. Issei responded, to which Shiva understood on how much of a pain she is. The other leaders were thinking of ways on how to deal with the Black Harms. I have a suggestion. Yusaka spoke up, to which everyone turned their attention to her as she spoke up. How about we find a way to speak to Fujimai and her husband? They both are in Shinto heaven, which is called Takamegahara. That way we can find out some context on the information of the research. Another option could be, we can raid the base like Lord Shiva asked us to do, and that way we can recover Kuroka. Auden suggested this, as Issei and the others knew that they had to come up with an idea as soon as possible. Juniper then spoke, maybe we should go with Lady Yusaka's idea first. Try to gain access to Takamegahara and get their souls. Yusaka gave a nod, to which she spoke. In that case, I will speak to Lady Amaterasu about it. It was good that we gained some advantage against the Black Arms to do something about it. Anything from your side, Zeus, with Thanato's interrogation? Shiva asked the Greek god, who responded. Nothing much, he is silent. He refuses to indulge any information about it for now. Maybe I should assign Athena or Nemesis to find out more on their plans. If you want, I can send some people to deal with it. Juniper responded, to which Zeus spoke. No, Your Highness, we can handle this one. In that case, it is settled. We will find out more on these super devils that they intend to create. All of you can resume to your normal lives. Surziches spoke, making all the leaders understand the situation. They all decided to leave, with Issei and Juniper alone with Vali, as Issei spoke up. So Vali, you okay with us going after Kuroka? Vali shook his head and spoke. No, I am not against it, I am well aware on what she has become. If she has joined the Black Arms, then we need to take her down. I guess that is true. Juniper spoke, as she continued. But don't you care for her? I did once, honestly I tried to convince her that Issei wasn't all that bad. But she wouldn't see it, only time she did was after you were killed by the beast. After that, you know what she did, right? Vali responded, as the couple nodded in understanding. They knew what they did, and needless to say, even they weren't happy, especially Juniper, as they had the nerve to sleep in Issei's bed after his supposed demise. They truly had no shame or regret for their actions. I see, so what will you do now? Vali brought out his divine dividing and spoke. I will see my team, and train with them. After all, we have a battle to complete, right? Vali gave a smirk to Issei, who nodded with a smile of his own. Vali soon flew off, aware that Issei was leagues ahead of him. But that doesn't mean he is going to quit. He smirked, knowing on how Issei was once weak, and now he had surpassed him. He was not going to be left behind, at least not now. After all, he also had someone he started to have feelings for. Scene change. Issei's office, Hyoudou residence, 11:45 p.m. Issei was waiting for 3 people in particular. He had already sent the messages to the 3 and gave them specific orders to cloak themselves, and when they enter the arena, to cloak their magic and aura to keep this a secret. They should be arriving soon. Issei spoke, as Juniper waited for them. Soon enough, 3 people wearing cloaks entered the room. Issei then spoke. I'm glad you 3 could make it, this is what I call the 3 of you for. Issei brought in a box that had 3 morphers, which were the morphin braces, as he spoke. Use them when you have to reveal it to them. Many will be surprised by the choices I have taken, especially a certain Redeed. One of the figures knew who he was referring to, as they gave a nod. They all take 1 morpher like they were asked to, in their specified positions, as Issei spoke. Now, you should all head down in the house. I will invite the rest of the original 15 and some other people. you should prepare for the match. The three nod as they leave. Issei soon smiles knowing that there will be another Sentai team alongside the Gakagers. Issei soon sends a message to those mentioned as they all are in for a surprise. Scene change. The mentioned people all arrive as they settle down in the Hyoudou residence as Violet asks. Is this the place where your father was born? Not exactly, Violet. John spoke in response as he continued. The house was much smaller than before. With the introduction of Rias and her peerage of double-crossers, the house had become bigger. Yep, it's true. Father did tell us that he was born and raised here. It was much like a small house you would see in the Midwest or Kugain. Bianca explained, earning a nod from the group. They all watched Issei come to the center stage as he spoke. Greetings everyone, I am glad you all could make it. I will try to make it short, but it's been 3 years since we had the introduction of the Gakagers in Arcadia. But not anymore, there will be another team that will soon defend Arcadia and eventually the rest of the universe as well. The audience started to cheer for this as soon 3 figures came inside. They were all cloaked and their auras were suppressed along with magic, making many wonder who they were. May I present to you, Takume Sentai Gobusters. The trio removed their cloaks, surprising everyone. The 3 people were revealed to be none other than Scarlett Madison, Johnny Stein and Olivia Ark. Johnny Stein to be a man that has a rugged urban appearance. His hair is dark and braided into long thick braids that hang down from under a black cap. He also has a well-defined beard that adds to his mature and robust appearance. He wears a dark oversized coat with a hood over a white hoodie or jacket, giving him a layered look suitable for cold weather. His pants are a light color and he's wearing sturdy black boots. May I present you, Olivia Ark, Johnny Stein and their leader Scarlett Madison, as the 3 new Go Busters. Issei announced from the announcer booth. Needless to say, the audience was stunned by this declaration, however soon several started to cheer and clap for this announcement, with the Ark siblings being the most. Given that Olivia was chosen, they presumed she had been running late to this. Now she was part of the Go Busters. They wondered what the reason was on why she was chosen, but they respected their father's decision, since Olivia was the first to get a Sentai morpher in the sibling group. They wondered who will be next on the list. The original 15 and the rest were surprised by this, especially those that knew Johnny and Scarlett. However, many were proud of the fact they were chosen, especially John, who was proud that 2 members were chosen for the Go Busters suits. But the same sentiment couldn't be said for 2 particular people. First, is Violet Evergarden. She was against Scarlett being a Gobuster. She hated that someone who tormented John, the Emperor's own son, has chosen to be a Gobuster over anyone else. In her eyes, she expected the Emperor to make second thoughts on choosing her to be a Gobuster. She was expecting someone else to take Scarlett's place, but Scarlett being here really annoyed her. The second is kind of obvious, that being Milano Madison. She is gritting her teeth in fury seeing Scarlett being chosen to be a Gobuster when it should have been her. She hated that the Emperor chose Scarlett over her, who wanted to take Scarlett's place as the Go Busters leader. She opened her scroll and sent a message to the family about this. She was not going to let Scarlett be in the Go Busters squadron. Holly noticed this and headed to Aqua while no one was noticing. She still couldn't understand why Milano doesn't see Scarlett as changed. She knew that Aqua can't speak to her father right away and she trusted Issei's decisions, given that he was the one that trained her in magic. She was proud of Scarlett for not only being part of a Sentai team, but also being chosen as their leader. She was the older sister of both Milano and Scarlett. Like her sisters, she was also described to be a beautiful red-haired woman with blue eyes. She appears to be wearing her mage outfit. Her mage outfit is comprised of blue robes with gold lining, also donning a cape that has a robe, and is armed with armor on her arms. Aqua. Holly called out to Aqua when she noticed her. She looked at her and spoke. Ah bestie, what brings you here? Well, it's Milano. She seems to be against Sensei's decision of choosing the leader of the Go Busters. Aqua grew wide-eyed and responded. You're joking, right? I'm afraid not, Aqua. Inform him as soon as you can about this. Holly spoke with worry, afraid of what the Emperor may do if she tries acting rude to him. Aqua then spoke in response. I will, but Dad is more tolerant of this. Aqua hissed in worry as she continued. It is Mom that you need to worry about. She won't tolerate any insults to her family members, and while she would let off a warning. If Milano crosses the line, there is nothing I can do. Holly gave a nod. She then spoke. I will try and calm her down. Aqua, let Sensei know about it. Yes. Aqua responded as they watched Issei announce. Everyone, get ready for the morphing sequence. Go Busters, take it away. The 3 nodded, placing the morphin brace in their right hands as they turned the dial clockwise. The morpher soon announces. Exposing the sunglass part of the morphers show the ranger suits that they are going to wear. For Scarlett it is red, for Johnny it is blue, and for Olivia it is yellow. It's morphin time. There were green particles surrounding them, as there Suit soon comes in, along with their helmet excluding their sunglasses. Let's morphin. The three exclaim at once, placing their sunglasses near their face, which causes the sunglass part of the morpher to form the visor of the helmet. With that, the Go Busters are ready for action. Red Buster. Scarlet announced herself, as Johnny followed. Blue Buster. Johnny announced next. Yellow Buster. Olivia spoke, pulling the shoulder strap of her suit. The crowd started to cheer upon this, with Violet also cheering, but only for Olivia and Johnny, while Milano is angrily glaring at this. Holly managed to explain to her to not do anything reckless, but she had to keep an eye on her in case she does anything foolish. I will be setting up some training droids and super training droids, show the world what you're all capable of. Issei gave a glance at Azazel, who activated the training droids. He also wanted to see the new Sentai team and was invited to this as well. He then spoke, so, when are you planning to bring in more Sentai to this place? Issei put off the microphone and shrugged. He then responded. Who knows? Azazel gave a chuckle and spoke. Yep, it's true. But would this help in dealing with the Black Arms? The more helping hands, the better. Plus, the Sentai have been eliminating any Black Arm cells on the planet. If the Gokagers can do this, then the Go Busters can do the same. This would give us an even better fighting chance against the Black Arms. Issei responded, as Azazel rubbed his chin and asked. I wonder if I will get a morpher of my own. Who knows? You might. Issei responded, as he turned to see the training droids have been summoned. These were level 1, level 2 and single level 7 training droids. Soon enough, the training droids were set in their positions, as these were imported from Arcadia to this place. These were asked by Issei which would be used for the Go Busters' first battle. And begin. Issei announced from the booth, as the trio nodded. Scarlet looked at her new team and crouched to the low, speaking, Busters, ready. The other two also did the same, as Scarlet shouted. Go. The three dashed forward, clashing against the droids, as the level 1 droid started firing at them. Olivia leaps in the air, using her suit's ability power jump, Enetron flowing through her body, as she taps the transport on the shoulder straps, as an announcement happens. Transport. A blaster comes into her right hand, which was transported from a different dimension to her hand, as she exclaims. Ichigan Buster. Olivia charges up the blaster and fires at the droids, destroying several of them. She soon lands down, looking at her own weaponry. Olivia looked surprised as several more blaster bolts were fired at her, which caused her to leap in the air again using power jump and lets loose another barrage of attacks that completely destroyed the droids with ease. Sweet. Olivia looked at her weapon, it was powerful, as soon, many more blaster shots were aimed at her, which caused her to get annoyed, as she spoke. So you want to play it that way? Olivia smirked underneath her suit as she spoke. Fine by me. She rolled out of the way and kicked one droid's hand and released the weapon off as she fired 2 more shots of the blaster destroying it. She soon rolled to the ground dodging more bullets and placed her hands on the ground and hind kicked the droid's head clean off from the body. She soon rolled out of the way again and fired many more bolts taking down many more droids. Olivia wondered if she can use this with her Icon Phoenix. She combines the flames which soon coat her suit and her blaster as 2 wings were seen behind her. She then spoke. Let's see if you can handle this. Olivia soon turns the zoom handle on the Ichigan blaster as it announces. It's time for Buster. The glow in the Ichigan blaster as it soon combines with flames of Phoenix with her shouting. Flaming Phoenix. Shot. She fires the flaming shot, wiping out many of the level 1 and level 2 droids, with ease burning them down to the ground. She looked at the destruction that was caused, smirking at the new power-up she gained. That's quite the performance Olivia gave. Keep up the good work, Yellow Buster. Olivia looked at her father who was smiling inside the booth proud of her performance. She gave a nod, aware of it. Olivia was aware of her father basically raising them on their own. Even when Nicola saw them as nothing but pawns, her father really cared for her and cherished her. While he can be a bit eccentric at times, especially with his boosted gear. Olivia, like all of the Arc siblings, saw Issei as their hero. And despite not expecting anything from them, the kids wanted to do something for their parents. She looked at her new teammates and team. Knowing this was the team her dad asked her to be in. She was surprised to be the first to be chosen. But she accepted it regardless, she could only hope that she gets along with her new team. In the meantime, Johnny was fighting against several droids as he tackled 2 of them to the ground. His suit allows him immense durability, making him tank almost a lot of shots single-handedly as he clobbered one of them, which was sent flying. Holy shit, this suit has strength. Johnny exclaimed as he ducked some more bullets and soon used his strength to lift a giant rock and throw it towards them, completely destroying the robots. He could see many more aiming their shots at them. Like Olivia, Johnny's body also had Enetron flowing inside his body, primarily towards his hands, and soon he slammed the ground while exclaiming. Try aiming with this. The droid started to stagger, unable to aim properly, as Johnny decided to press his transpod to get his Ichigan blaster. Transport. Johnny started to rapidly fire at the droids, taking them out one by one with ease. Some tried to lunge at him, only for Johnny to block with his free hand. His super strength crushing the droid's arms before he used his Ichigan blaster to fire at them. Many more droids also aimed their pistol at them, he then shouted. This is getting annoying. He soon turned up the zoom dial to activate his final move. It's time for Buster. He soon fired a supercharged shot at the droids, which triggered electrical shocks around, causing a massive explosion to happen. He twirled his gun and spoke. Now that's how a chef gets the job done, bon appetit. Issei then spoke in response. Good job, Blue Buster. Like your leader said, you certainly know how to make quick work of some stuff, Johnny Stein. Like a chef. Johnny gave a nod and a bow of grace as the attention was turned to Scarlet, their leader and the Red Buster of the team. They all turned to her in attention. Milano was gritting her teeth in anger and helplessness, seeing on how graceful Scarlet was in combat, effortlessly handling and dodging the attacks. Scarlet looked at her opponents, who aimed their pistols, as she smirked underneath her helmet and spoke. Nice try, boys. Enetron flowed inside her body, like the other two Go Busters, however it flowed towards the legs, as she started to run at near light speeds behind the droids, and started punching two of them, sending one flying. She soon ran, avoiding some more bullets, due to the Enetron flowing inside of her body. Soon enough, she decided to bring out the big guns, and tap the transpod on the shoulder strap. Transport. Scarlet decided to bring out something else, unlike the others that brought out the Ichigan blaster, she decided to bring out the Saugen blade, transforming it into its knife mode, and strike the droids, taking 3 down with relative. She soon saw many more aiming their rifles at them, as she dashed forward and took them all down with multiple quick slashes, causing them to release electric shockwaves, which caused a massive explosion, taking them all down. Seeing the last of them standing, Scarlet decided to end this. She pressed the button on the side of the blade, and it soon announced. It's time for Buster. Scarlet's blade is filled with Enetron energy, as she prepares for a much more powerful energy slash. She aimed the slash at the droids, causing electricity to appear before they explode, destroying the last of the droids. Now that's quite the power. Scarlet spoke, as her team soon gathered next to her. Good job, Scarlet. Johnny spoke, as he added. Never thought you had some saber skills. You can thank John for that, he made sure that I was trained in this. Scarlet looked towards John with a small blush. John could only turn his gaze away, in fear, knowing he could feel jealous stares from the rest of his harem. Juniper could only sigh in exhaustion, as Mickey asked her daughter-in-law. Does this happen often? A lot. And I mean, a lot. Mickey could only look in slight pity at her daughter-in-law's plight, reminded of how Issei used to deal with his own former harem. Goru wanted to laugh in enjoyment at his grandson being like his father, but a glare from Juniper and Mickey made him think otherwise. Okay, John's harem drama aside. Issei spoke from the booth, making the Arcadia even more embarrassed, as he continued. Quite the good job you did with your abilities, Scarlet Madison. You have come a long way. Scarlet gave a nod, as she did come a long way. Gone was the prideful, arrogant and always desiring to be number one Scarlet. Now was a different one, a leader and a capable soldier. And also, a go-buster. Milano was frothing in anger seeing this, she hated Scarlet even more now. Due to her belief of Scarlet never changing. She hated Scarlet being the Red Buster and the leader of the Go Busters. She wished for herself to take Scarlet's place, and if not the case, anyone else. She hated it was her. Scarlet. Milano was about to lunge, but Holly grabbed her hand and spoke. Stay right here. Milano. But Milano tried to retort, but Holly spoke. I know why you want to do this, you don't wish to see Scarlet in this state. Honestly, John is right about you, you are becoming like how Scarlet was. Milano tried to retort, but Holly spoke instead. No, Milano. I am not going to hear it. You will stay here, and that is final. I know it was you that called mother and father, revealing the news. Let me tell you, if you cause any problems for her or the Emperor, I will see to it that you are dealt with, personally. Milano lost her anger and became fearful, reluctantly backing away. She could only glare at Scarlet as Holly could only give out a sigh of frustration and tiredness. She is just tired of how much of a mess her family is. Back with Scarlet, she was with her team as Issei announced. Okay, now for your final test. It is going to be a team building exercise. You will need to take the robot which is at level 7 difficulty using your Go Buster powers. Scarlet, your job is to lead the team to success, got it? Understood. The 3 Go Busters got ready for their fight. Scarlet knew the level 7 robot of Academia very well. She then coordinated a plan. The droid can fire explosive shells, I will distract it using my super speed. Once I gain their attention, Johnny, grab the hand and don't let go, try holding it for as much as you can. Olivia, keep leaping around and try shooting it in different locations. Use your leap to its advantage and try to overload it, it can't focus on all three of us at once. They all nodded in agreement as both Olivia and Johnny exclaimed. Okay. They all looked at the level 7 robot that was ready to destroy them. However, that was not going to happen. Busters. Ready. Go. The trio charged at the droid as the droid started to fire its missiles at them. Scarlet, upon seeing this, exclaimed. Like the plan, everyone. Scarlet dashed forward, garnering the attention of the missiles, barely dodging it thanks to her super speed and twirling around the missiles, causing explosions everywhere. She then called out. Hey, metalhead. Scarlet taunted, garnering the attention of the droid, with it starting to aim massive missiles at her, which allowed her to gracefully dodge around. Soon, Olivia leaped in the air, Enetron flowing inside of her legs, and started to fire a barrage of shots aimed at the robot, forcing it to generate a force field to defend itself. Scarlet and Johnny see this as their opportunity and start striking the robot at its foot, causing it to stagger. Scarlet looked around and slashed it again at its legs, causing it to kneel. It aimed its missile launcher at her. As Johnny spoke. How about you try fighting against this man? Johnny used his Enetron-based super strength to pull the droid up in the air and slam it to the ground. Johnny himself was shocked at the sheer strength he had. I never expected this suit to be this powerful. Johnny exclaimed as Olivia leaped to the air and continued to keep firing at the robot, which caused it to block the attack. Scarlet lunged in with her blade and tried to strike it at certain locations, which made it roll in order to avoid the attacks, firing 2 more missiles at her which she deflected using her saber. She looked at Olivia and Johnny, who gave a nod as they continued to fire shots at the robot, damaging it even further. Scarlet again jumped forward and stabbed the robot in the stomach. Had enough. The robot aimed its machine gun and started to keep firing its barrage of bullets at her, which allowed Scarlet to go near light speed. The bullets were easily evaded by her. Johnny leaped in the air and slammed his fists onto him, destroying the dent of the robot. The super strength of his suit is capable of completely destroying the metal of the training robot with ease. This exposed the internal wiring of the robot as Olivia saw this as an opportunity. Scarlet shouted. Now Olivia. Got it. Olivia turned up the dial of her Ichigan as it announced. It's time for Buster. She fired a supercharged shot at the stomach's edge, which caused serious damage to the robot. It started to struggle and is unable to do anything, but that only lasted for a moment. It can stand after that. No wonder this thing is powerful. Olivia commented. She decided to think of a way to defeat the robot and spoke. Guys, I have an idea, let's try and combine our Ichigan blasters and Saugen blade and see if we can make a powerful ability. Just like Garanger's combined weapons. That's a great idea. Scarlet commented as Johnny spoke. Girls, you ready? No need to tell us twice. Let's end this scrap of metal once and for all. Scarlet and the other Go Busters tapped the transport of their shoulder strap. Soon enough, a weapon formed on their left hand, with an announcement taking place, in the form of green particles surrounding it, like previous weapons of the Go Busters. Transport. Soon enough, the weapons came, an Ichigan blaster for Scarlet and Saugen blade for both Olivia and Johnny. They then combined their weapons, changing it into a more powerful version of the Ichigan blaster, exclaiming. Ichigan Buster Special Buster Mode. They soon started to prepare a supercharged shot which was more powerful than the usual shot fired from the Ichigan blaster. It's time for Special Buster. They started to fire the supercharged shot at the robot, causing electricity to spark out everywhere. Soon, a massive explosion came from the robot and the three pose up, turning their gazes away from the explosion as Scarlet speaks her new signature line. Enemy down. The three turn around and look at the destruction, only scraps of metal remain from the robot. Issei then finally announced in the microphone. The battle is now over. Everyone please give cheers to the newest Sentai team of Arcadia. Takime Sentai Go Busters. Everyone started to cheer, except for Milanoa, who scowled and left the room in anger. She hated that her damned sister, Scarlet, is chosen as a Go Buster. She had informed her parents about this, hoping that they would side with her. Issei was with Azazel as he spoke. You certainly know how to do your work. Issei cuts off the microphone and speaks. Thank you, Sensei, but it is them that will shine. But do you have a morpher that may suit me? In the future, that is. Issei thought for a moment and responded. That I am not sure of. But who knows? Issei soon got a notification from his system. Quest completed. Choose suitable candidates for the morphin braces, choose proper candidates to them. Rewards. 50,000, experience plus 60,000 lean plus new Gakai change. Gobusters. Issei soon had a key in his hand, belonging to Red Buster. He had a smile on his face, knowing another Sentai team is on their side now. He knew that there are 2 Sentai teams that are yet to come. Which is when he would find the Gakai Silver of the team, who he is sure has awakened at this point. Scene change. Hades' realm, underworld, 6 p.m. Carmilla was not happy with what Issei had done. She hated Issei for literally coming in and threatening to purge anyone. She had to make something that would destroy them. It's a shame the Nezrangers that were used to destroy them were gone. But she was not done yet. She looked at some Grim Reapers and asked, "Is Project Gigadron ready?" "Yes ma'am, and we are ready to deploy them. We only need time to prepare them." Carmilla had an evil smile and she spoke. "Excellent, then deploy one at Kuo Academy. I want that place destroyed. Send them with 2 officers who will wreak havoc across the entire place. I want to make him pay for it." The Grim Reapers responded. "As you wish, Lady Carmilla." Scene change. Black Dog Bar, Kuo Town, Kuo, 6 p.m. "So I believe the 3 of you will succeed in protecting Arcadia, right?" Issei spoke to the team of Go Busters, to which the trio nodded, with Scarlet speaking for the team. "Don't worry, Your Majesty, we won't let you down." Issei gave a nod. He was with Juniper and John, who was watching the whole battle. She knows that another Sentai team would surely help against their fight with the Black Arms and Hades' minions. What is the meaning of this, Scarlet? Scarlet flinched upon hearing whose voice it was. John also recognized the voice and eventually, so did the others. It was a beautiful woman with long flowing red hair and blue eyes. She has a floral decoration in her hair along with her dress, which is white in color. The floral design in her outfit is that of purple. You can also see bits of gold ornaments around her waist and chest area and is wearing high heels. This here is Alexiel Madison, the mother of Holly, Scarlet, and Milano Madison. She was also accompanied by another man, Holly and Milano. The man was described to have long, blonde or in some cases, silver hair. The man dresses in a dark blue and black robe that matches his blue eyes, as well as his taste for ice magic. This man right here is Ian Page or Ian Madison, the father of Holly, Scarlet, and Milano Madison. "Mother?" Scarlet asked with surprise, as she continued. "And father too?" "Yes, Scarlet. It is us." Ian spoke. Like Holly, he is proud that his daughter was chosen to be a Go Buster, becoming the leader of a ranger team right after the Emperor himself. However, the same sentiment cannot be shared with Alexiel Madison, who was against this. Primarily due to being Scarlet's older attitude of being an asshole, arrogant and reckless, implying she may get her team killed. Unfortunately, Ian cannot stand up to his wife and could do little to stop him. "So what brings you here, mother, father?" Scarlet asked. She could see the worried expression on Holly and a smug expression on Milano. Scarlet knew exactly what was going to happen. She hated that Milano brought her parents here to get rid of her. Alexiel soon spoke again. "We wanted to ask about the inclusion of my daughter into the Go Buster team." Issei responded with a normal tone. "Go on." Issei spoke in response. Seeing the expression of the family, he knew shit is going to hit the fan soon enough. "We don't see her fit." Alexiel spoke bluntly, causing Scarlet to flinch even more, as she continued. "You are nothing but reckless. She doesn't have the potential to be the leader. Especially for such a huge task of being a leader of a Sentai team, considering the other person being a leader is you, yourself, Your Majesty. There is no way she can be a leader. She is nothing but arrogant, narcissistic, jealous, envious, and even downright hateful of anyone who surpasses her." Scarlet could be seen looking down, almost on the verge of having a mental breakdown. She was having tears in her eyes. John rushed to her, and Olivia got up from her seat as John calmed her down. Both Olivia and Johnny were angry at what Alexiel said about their leader, who was quite capable in leading them. Scarlet knew this was Milano doing, as she was smug seeing her state. They all wondered what Issei would say. Juniper looked at this with disappointment, while John decided to calm Scarlet down before things get worse. "I see." Issei spoke after a while, as he continued. "I decline what you said." "What?" Alexiel exclaimed with a shocked tone, as Milano was about to speak on how unfair it is, but Issei kept his hand, giving a glare that silenced her and spoke. "I am not done yet." He turned to Alexiel and spoke. "I thought that, as a mother, you'd feel proud of your daughter, especially now that she's a ranger, and not just any ranger, but the leader of her team. I was clearly mistaken. Every word you've spoken about her shows just how wrong you are about the remarkable person she's become. It's sad, really. Instead of celebrating her achievements, you choose to be cold and dismissive, unable to find joy in your own daughter's happiness. Scarlet is not the same person you remember. Her role as the leader of the 1-5 elites is proof of that. She had to work her way up from the very bottom, and she's done it through sheer determination and talent. Her leadership skills were put to the test when she faced a level 7 training robot with her team, emerging victorious without any injuries. If you still think Scarlet doesn't deserve to be a Red Buster, then so be it. But remember, if you can't see her worth, it says far more about you than it does about her." Alexiel can be seen stunned by this, unable to find a retort to this. She could be seen glaring at Issei, as Issei looked at Scarlet, who was surprised that the Emperor and his family believed in her more than anyone else from her family, minus Holly of course. You wish to say something, Scarlet? Tell her on how wrong she is, show it. Scarlet gave a nod as she angrily looked at her and spoke. Well, mother, you call me nothing but arrogant, narcissistic, jealous, envious, and even downright hateful of anyone who surpasses me. Well, this means that you are not only a liar, but also a hypocrite for saying this. Alexiel could be seen glaring at her daughter now, as Scarlet took a deep breath and spoke. She wanted to lay it on her mother, telling her on what kind of a person she is. Let me start with this, you never cared for me, or even loved me, despite everything you wanted me to achieve, and now that I am what you always wanted me to be, you want me removed. Oh. And what, pray tell, are you talking about? Alexiel retorted with a slight mocking tone, as Scarlet responded. What I'm talking about is you giving me all the necessary stuff to be the so-called perfect daughter, and then leaving me to my own devices. You did the same to both Holly and Milanoa, because you expected us to be prodigies because your sisters are the same. Well, you weren't a prodigy to begin with. Milanoa spoke mockingly, as John spoke in defense. Keep telling yourself that. Scarlet being chosen over you must sting, doesn't it? John retorted mockingly, causing Milanoa to glare at him, but a glare from Holly made her back away with slight fear. Even if we are prodigies or not, you pushed us to our limits, not because you want us to better ourselves, but because you want us to surpass the children of your twin sisters, Kasumi and Sumire. And the only reason why you want us to do that is because you want to surpass your sisters, because when you were our age, you were always last place, and hated it. Scarlet spoke with a neutral and cold tone. Ian looks over to Alexiel and sees her clenching her fists in anger. The one thing she hated the most is being compared to her twin sisters, who were perfect, while she isn't. How dare Scarlet say that to her? And from what I heard from Kasumi, you always scolded me for being a bitch to my friends, my peers, and didn't help whatsoever in changing that attitude, whereas I did it myself and became a better person, unlike you. I was told you were just like me, arrogant, narcissistic, jealous, envious, and even downright hateful of anyone who surpasses you, but so much worse. You were always alone and hated it. But your actions are going to cause the very thing you hate. Scarlet, I think that is. Ian wanted to speak to defuse the situation, even Issei, and the others knew that Scarlet is going to lay it out on her. She then continued cutting him off, shouting at the start. No. She needs to know this. She needs to know that we are not her way of making her parents proud. We were only tools for her to look good in front of them. She wanted us to be the so-called perfect children, so she can say to her sisters that she won this battle, but it's not a competition, and it never was. You're just jealous because you can never achieve what Kasumi and Sumire did. You were just like me, the black sheep of the family, ignored and forgotten by the family. I thought you would say to yourself that you wouldn't be like your parents, but apparently history repeats itself. Ian looks over to Alexiel, whose blood pouring out of her hands due to the fingernails digging through her skin. The others also knew that Scarlet needs to stop before things become violent. Issei then spoke. Scarlet, I think you dropped your point across. She will. Sorry, Your Majesty, you gave me the opportunity to speak. I need to let her know how wrong she is, and claiming that I don't deserve to be Red Buster. When she has done things as bad, if not worse than my old self. Scarlet spoke, as Issei remained silent. She was not wrong. But was worried that shit may hit the fan if things go worse. He had to stop before they do something foolish and may reveal the supernatural to the people present. The good thing was that the restaurant or bar is owned by Tobio Ikus, an agent of GREMORY, and most people working there were those that were aware of Arcadia and the supernatural, and Tobio did close the bar to not let anyone else in. And if you are wondering on how she even got the position, it was because of my father. Scarlet pointed to him, as she continued. He is the reason why you have everything now. You were lucky he loved you, when so many others wanted nothing to do with you. Ian gave you everything because he loved you, and I don't see you being thankful about it whatsoever. Because if he didn't, then you would be a nobody living in your parents' basement or attic, drinking yourself away and trying to do something for your life, but achieving absolutely nothing. Failing like the failure you are. That did it. Alexiel finally snapped and was ready to sock Scarlet, but before she could land a blow, her hand was grabbed by Issei, who was glaring at Alexiel, who spoke with a cold draconic voice. You dare lay a hand on my rangers. Alexiel Madison. Alexiel lost her fear and became pale, then shuddered in fear. She knew that the Emperor, while having a gentle and friendly side, shouldn't be provoked in any manner. Many fear his wrath and don't cross with him if he is in that state, and this fear is extended to even the Black Arms. All I see is the truth of a woman who only cares about her reputation and prowess to prove to her parents on how much of a failure she isn't, rather than her own children. This is your only warning. Raise your hand on your daughter again, and I will see to it that your title and capabilities are not only stripped, but you are completely destroyed. Scarlet lost her anger and started to hyperventilate in fear, tears now falling from her eyes. Milano was terrified and fearful. The gentle and kind Emperor's wrath is something she was never expecting. She was expecting Issei to kick and embarrass Scarlet publicly. The others were also on edge due to Issei's voice. Even John knew that not many can save the victims from his father's anger. Ian stepped forward and Issei continued. Take your wife and daughter, Milano, out of here. Now. Yes, your majesty. Issei dropped the hand and Juniper kept her hand on his shoulder as Issei spoke, calming himself. I am fine, Juniper. Juniper gave a smile as she decided to speak some words to Alexiel. Juniper soon turned to Alexiel, who was terrified as she spoke with a serious tone. I will let this be a secret, but if I ever see you do this again, I will make sure to let everyone know of your incident here. Is that understood? Alexiel nodded as Ian spoke. Alexiel, Milano, let's leave the bar. But. Milano retorted as Ian gave a glare and spoke. I don't want to hear any arguments, this problem is because of you. We are going to have a very serious conversation back home, clear? Milano looked down and glared at Scarlet as the duo left. Ian mouthed the words. Thank you to Issei, before leaving. Something he had picked up. The Madison family excluding Holly left as Issei asked. How did this even happen? I am sorry, your majesty, about my family. I assure you, it won't happen again. Issei gave out a sigh, however, a tremor took place, with the dimensions changing, along with earthquakes happening. They all were alerted as Issei spoke up. Scarlet, take your team and protect the bar. Same goes for you three as well. They all gave a nod as Issei spoke. I will contact the rest of my team and see what it is. Scarlet and her team walked forward and spoke. Ready? Johnny and Olivia gave a nod as they brought out their morphin braces and turned the dial. It's morphin time. Their suit changed to their ranger variants as they all shouted. Let's morphin. They all got ready as Issei also brought out his mobilate and shouted. Gakkai change. He inserted the key into the mobilate and twisted it as it announced. Gakkager. He soon left the bar with the others ready for anything that came in their way. Scene change. Issei was with the rest of the Gakkagers as they all looked at the threats. They could see a giant robot that is rampaging in the alternate dimension. It seemed to be made of a flaming skeleton design. They were accompanied by 3 non-commissioned Black Arms giants who were laying waste across the buildings, tearing them down. Guess Carmilla has really upped the fight this time. Hikari commented as Mary asked. So, are we going to use the Gakkai ship for the battle? You bet we are. Issei brought out his mobilate and summoned the Gakkai galleon. It soon arrived as all 5 rangers jumped into it. Issei then pressed the buttons, with the rest of the Gakkagers entering their respective Zords. They were Gakkai Jet, Gakkai Racer, Gakkai Trailer and Gakkai Submarine. Victor piloted the Gakkai Jet. Adam handled the Gakkai Racer. Mary handled the Gakkai Trailer. Hikari handled the Gakkai Marine. Victor piloted the Gakkai Marine and started firing its beam cannons at the giants, causing it to stagger, unable to do anything. Victor then shouted. Adam. Got it. Adam drove around the racer and fired multiple energy cannons at them, taking one down. However, Victor was not done. The boys once again handled the battle, firing 2 beam shots at the giant, taking one of the giants down in an explosion. This is too easy. Adam commented as Victor responded. True, Carmilla really needs to up these grunts. Stronger than base soldiers, but not enough for the Megazords. Victor added. They watched the Gakkai Trailer and Gakkai Marine lay waste to the next giant. Sugo. The giant shouted in pain as Hikari responded. Oh, it's going to get a lot worse for you. Let it out, Ricky. Hikari added as Mary responded. Understood. Leave it to me. Mary controlled the trailer and started to ram the giant as Hikari followed it up with the torpedoes firing at the giant, causing it to stagger. All yours, Hikari, have fun. Hikari retorted in response. Will do. Hikari unleashed her own beam blast at the giant as it shouted in pain. Suguo. Soon an explosion happened, taking the giant down. Now only the giant robot or Gigadron is standing. The Gigadron started to rain havoc across the Gakkager Zords that started to struggle a bit. Issei noticed this and responded. Guys, we are heading straight to Megazord combination. They all nodded in agreement as Issei exclaimed. Pirate combination. The 5 Zords started to fly in the air as they all headed towards the moon, a secluded location. The 4 Zords flew on opposite sides and slowed down once it reached the Gakkai galleon. The Gakkai galleon transforms into what seems to be the body of the ship, losing its sail, with the front side of the Gakkai Trailer and Gakkai Marine opening and heading up. The tires in both the Gakkai Jet and Gakkai Racer come up, with the top side of the Gakkai Jet flying off. Both the Gakkai Jet and Gakkai Racer attach themselves on the arms of Gakkai Galleon, while Gakkai Marine and Gakkai Trailer form the legs, transforming into a Megazord. The other Rangers enter the cockpit of the Gakkai Galleon. forming their own station in the same room. The Megazord then grabs the top and wears it on his head. A green eye glows and the Megazord twirls around, ready for combat. This was the Gakeo, the Megazord of the Gakagers. Gakeo was a combination of all 5 Zords, the Gakai Galleon, Gakai Jet, Gakai Trailer, Gakai Racer and Gakai Marine. Gakeo. Full sail ahead. The 5 Gakagers all exclaimed at once. The Gakagers look ready for combat against the Gigadron, who started to fire its flaming shots. The 5 command the Gakeo to flip, dodging the shots, as Adam exclaimed. "Take this." Adam used the sabers to strike it from behind. It soon leaped in the air, twirling its sabers around, as Hikari followed it up. "Let's see how you handle this, robot." She unleashed some more saber strikes, as the robot started to stagger. It soon started to leap in the air and fire several laser balls at the Gakeo, as Victor spoke. "Guys, let's use it." They all nod, as they exclaim. "Gakai bat." They bring out a baseball bat, yes, a baseball bat, to fight against the laser balls, as they strike it back, with Mary speaking. "Try catching this." She reflected it back at them, causing the robot to start exclaiming in pain. The laser is messing up with the circuits. Issei then saw this as an opportunity and spoke. "Everyone, let's end this." "Yeah." Victor, Adam, Mary and Hikari exclaimed, bringing out their Gakai keys and exclaiming. "Ranger key, set." They enter it into the ship's keyhole and twirl it, with the sign saying. "Let's go." They all followed it up by exclaiming. "Let's go." Soon enough, the wheel on Gakeo's back spins, as the Megazord loses its baseball bat and curls up into a ball, and opens the hatches on the green, blue, yellow and pink Zords of the Gakeo, located at each limb. The center red plate opens up, bringing out a turret. Gakai Starburst. They all exclaim as unlimited cannonballs enter the yellow and pink hatches, moving to the blue and green ones, and soon they start firing at the Gigadron, who tried to use flames but couldn't do anything. The Megazord was barely affected, and soon it couldn't take it anymore. It started to release immense electrical energy before it exploded with a boom. The robot was nothing but a scrap heap. The Gakeo returned back to its normal form, as Issei spoke. "Well, that's it." Issei spoke with relief, as he sat down. It was quite the exhausting day for him. Victor then asked. "So, from what Mary has informed us, we now have another Sentai team that is going to assist us, right?" "Yes, they are the Go Busters, and they should be in the bar right now." Hikari soon responded to Issei. "That's good to hear, and one of them is your girl, right?" Issei only gave a nod, as he sat at the back of his cockpit and spoke. "Indeed, and I do plan on getting more morphers and giving it to those I trust the most. The Go Busters, and you guys. Well, that's good to hear. And from what I could tell, the 3 of you got the Go Buster keys, right?" Adam spoke, motioning to Mary, Issei and Victor, as Hikari added. "And once again, like most 3-man teams, we get left behind. If you want, you too can use the Beat and Stag Buster keys." Issei gave the Beat Buster key to Adam and Stag Buster key to Hikari, as Adam spoke in response. "This is the 6th Ranger, correct?" "Both are actually, with the Silver Ranger being active from today, our best bet is to locate him before Carmilla does." "Mary must have informed you too, right?" Issei speaks, to which Hikari spoke. "Yep, she did. I wonder who it is." "Navi did inform us that we have to head to India if we have to find them." "Indeed, the man in silver must be her saying. She must have predicted this would have happened." Mary added, to which the others understood the situation. They soon decided to send the galleon back and reunite with their allies. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Issei playing with a Magi Dragon. A few days later. India, 3:30 p.m. A silver figure was seen looking across the horizons of India and its cityscape. He remembered how he gained his powers. He knew that he had to find the rest of his team. That is why he was finding any clues to the rest of the 5 Gakagers. This was Gakai Silver, the 6th Ranger of the Gakagers. "I will find you, my teammates, and assist you in your fight the Black Arms." The Silver Ranger soon leaped from the building as an explosion took place behind him. He soon landed before looking at the damage he had left behind. This was the 3rd hidden Black Arms base he had encountered in India. He had to eliminate as many bases as he could. And if he could find any clues for the Gakagers, that was just a bonus for him. He soon walked into the jungle as a silver glow took place. Soon the person disappeared into the dense forests that was present near the base. That's it guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.